here we are at Homestead, race number 36. And we don't need artificial drama, manufactured suspense, if you will, because this season has been full of it. Awesome racing, crazy wrecks, great finishes. Come on, you think we got enough angles of this? We're good, right? It's the last race of the year, you say? Time to pull out all the stops. All right, armchair producer, we'll satisfy your hunger. We're gonna blow this tease outright. Of course you need a big name to do that. I'm Michael frickin' Rappaport. Is that big enough for you? We need a sappy song. Let's get the next one. I don't like this. Actually, this song's pretty cool, but this is maybe better for a rollout, but whatever. Where's my time lapse? Can I get a time lapse? There you go. I don't need a script. I'm flipping dogs. You want your drama? Here it is. And we don't need special effects or trick shots to get our point across. Every driver starts the year with one goal, the cup. It's the cup. Come on, wake up. You paying attention? Let's go. After over 13,000 miles on a track, zoom, that's a lot of miles. 10 months on the road. Only one of them is taking it home. We're crowning the king tonight, people. Should we shoot me low angle now? I think that'll work. Is Jimmy pulling off the 4P? Ooh, that's dramatic. We'll take another Texas to keep him from that trophy. That's good. I like the dolly shot. Mark, at the beginning of the year, how many of you had him as a contender? Raise your hand. Put your hand down. You're lying. None of you did. Maybe the kid pulls off the impossible. He might come in there and slay the 3-time champion and shock everybody. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to be watching. Anything can happen. It's freaking NASCAR. We should probably say something cheesy here, right?
One man will be made immortal tonight.
I like that. That's good. That's cheesy. Up there holding the cup, grown men will lose their mojo. Cue the emotional shot. Is he hugging that thing? Listen, this is the only race of the year where nobody cares about the winner. Lose the footage. We could say anything we want, but the only thing that matters is Homestead. The only thing that matters is the cup.
10 months, 10,000 laps, and 13,000 miles. The Sprint Cup Series has the longest season in pro sports. It's a tough road that ends here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. And we are on the verge of witnessing history. Jimmy Johnson stands just 400 miles from an unprecedented 4th consecutive championship. After 3 in a row, there is just one man standing in his way, and that's his teammate, Mark Martin. He, too, could make his own page in the NASCAR history books. Today, it's a tale of 2 cars, the 5 of the ageless wonder and the 48 on the verge of going into uncharted territory. It's the end of the road, and it's race day in sunny southern Florida. Hello, everyone. I'm John Roberts, and welcome to the final edition of the year of NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. He is Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer, and he is race car driver number 28, Kenny Wallace. And now let's take a look at the championship scenarios, who stands where, going into race number 10 of the 2009 chase for the Sprint Cup. Jimmy Johnson is first. A finish of 25th or better clinches the title. Mark Martin is second, 108 points back. When Jimmy Johnson takes the green flag today, he will do it from the pole for the 4th time this season, and perhaps that could be his most significant pole position of the year. There are still positions on the line and jockeying to be done.
And the key here, fans, if you start looking at this, who's going to be in the top 5? Kenny, who's going to end up being in the top 10 on the stage?
And all we talk about is that 10th spot towards the end of the year. Will Casey Kane go to Las Vegas and be on the stage?
And will Jimmy Johnson pop out on the first lap of this race today and lead, get the first 5 bonus points, and make it just a little bit harder on Mark Martin?
Race fans, I don't know, but I have a message for all of you. This is it. We started in February for the Daytona 500. It all comes down to this one race. This one race from 10 months ago, it started at Daytona to determine our Sprint Cup champion. And race fans, I got goosebumps, and I am excited. Yes! This is it, baby!
I'll tell you what's cool for me, fans. You know, I wasn't around when Cale Yarborough won his 3rd championship. I wasn't part of the petty 7-time champion. I did watch Darrell Waltrip win the Daytona 500. I did watch Dale Earnhardt secure 7 championships. I'm proud to be a part of history today. I think Jimmy Johnson's going to win his 4th championship. Fans, that's unheard of. That's history in the making. I'm proud to be part of that, being associated with NASCAR and the history in the making, Johnny.
How big is this for Jimmy Johnson, you may ask? Well, Dale Earnhardt never did it. Richard Petty never did it. And here we have Jimmy Johnson on the verge of his 4th consecutive championship. For more, let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you very much, JR. And, you know, it's all about Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin. And when you think about what Jimmy Johnson has accomplished since he came to the Sprint Cup Series, absolutely mind-blowing. Now, I traded some messages with Jimmy early this morning. In fact, I think I woke him up first thing this morning. If I did, Jimmy, I apologize. But I asked him, how can we characterize your strategy for today's race? And he said, Hermie, running up front and leading laps is the safest place for us to be. He's starting up front. I look for him to try to stay up there, stay up front, get maximum points, let everything else take care of itself. Let's talk about this specific number 48 car behind me, a little bit of history. He ran this car at the Brickyard earlier this year. What was the result? A win. He backed it up. He took this car to Fontana earlier this year in the chase. What happened? He won that race also. So this car is 2 for 2 in victories so far this year, and I think they're going for 3 out of 3 and looking to lock this thing up in grand style. And for more on the person who's trying to maybe pull the upset today, let's go to Wendy Venturini. Wendy?
Good morning, Hermie. It's hard to believe it's our last day of school and we still have a champion to crown. Of course, no one's given up at the 5 team, including Mark Martin and crew chief Alan Gustafson. Now they start 4th today, 108 points back, but that does not mean anything. Alan Gustafson says, our goal today, A, win the race, B, watch the 48 car, and C, watch the 24 car. Can they be aggressive? According to Alan, he says, yes, we have to be more aggressive than Chad Knaus. Now, keep in mind, this team was 20th in points 1 year ago, right now 2nd in points. I just spoke to Alan. He is in this hauler at his laptop working right now. When he holds that team meeting, I wanted to see what he was gonna say to the crew guys. And he said he's already formulated what he wants to say to them, and that is, listen, we're not stopping here. If we don't leave here first, let's not stop until we get there, whether it's today or whether it's next year. The goal for this team is to get a championship. Eventually, whether it's today or not, they have come a long way since 1 year ago. Now, keep in mind, we are going to hear from Mark Martin today on the show. We're going to hear from Jimmy Johnson and Rick Hendrick sitting down together in this week's Real Deal later on in the show. You'll hear from all 3 of those guys and their thought process. But that's just a little bit of a snippet of what the crew chief here at the 5 car is thinking in the hauler right now. Johnny?
Wendy, thanks a lot. A big show today for you. 3 full hours of coverage from the championship race, the final one of the season. A big show needs the big dogs. In victory lane for you today, we have Darrell Waltrip and Kyle Petty. And if that's not enough for you, on some beach somewhere is Steve Burns, Larry McReynolds, and Jeff Hammond. Guys, I know this championship has been no day at the beach, but at least we're having fun today.
JR, we're down here auditioning for the new Christmas Corona commercial. Steve Burns, Larry McReynolds, and our own Captain Morgan, Jeff Hammond. And, you know, guys, they talked about history, perhaps 4 championships in a row. And we want to help answer that question, why and how. I think it begins with the teams. You guys have been involved in championships. Jeff Hammond, I would suggest, Ron Malik, the only car chief the 48 team has ever had. Chad Knaus has kept that nucleus intact.
That's the key to the secret of this whole organization right now. Rick Hendrick has done an outstanding job of keeping Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus together, but what those 2 guys have done have been able to keep somebody like, we talked about Ron Malik as far as the car chief's concerned, a nucleus of this team. I mean, that means that Chad Knaus can work with his engineers, work with his driver, do what he needs to do, and know that this race car, when it rolls out through the inspection line a little bit later on, it will be perfect. And that's a confidence that you need to have. Alan Gustafson, first year with Mark Martin, he's building that nucleus. He will have that in the years to come. But right now, the teamwork, the family that Chad has put underneath him and continues to support him, I think is one of the key elements of them getting where they are, and will also be the reason why they're able to pull it off today. They will not make any mistakes as far as the preparation of that race car, and it's a matter of whether will somebody else create an issue, Larry.
And there's no question, it's that whole race team that is on the brink of winning this 4th consecutive championship. You know, Jimmy Johnson does a phenomenal job of driving that race car. Chad Knaus does a great job of calling the shots and doing the strategy. The whole team is what has made this deal. But the big question all week long, how will they run this race? And like Chad Knaus told me, why would we do a whole lot different in the 36th race than we did in the first 35 that got us in this position, and we got these 7 wins? But he did say, for the first 35 races, just as they did at Phoenix last week, we raced 42 race teams. But today, even though we'd like to get our 8th win of 2009, we're racing 1 race team, and that's that 5 team, our teammate.
Well, to get some perspective on this historic weekend, as Kenny Wallace said, We're going to go to Darrell Waltrip and Kyle Petty. Kyle, I've done some quick math, and I would suggest that between the Pettys and the Waltrips, we have about 350 NASCAR wins and about 12 championships.
A lot of wins and a lot of championships. The other thing we have is been a part of a lot of great teams, and that's the interesting part. When you sit there and you listen to what Jeff has to say, when you listen to what Larry has to say. I was a part of Petty Enterprises with Dale Jarrett, or excuse me, with Dale Inman and with Richard Petty and Maurice Petty. I knew what that team could do and what it took to be a championship team. Darrell's been there before. He's won 2 in a row. When you win 2 in a row, you're thinking three-peat. This guy's in rarefied air right here. He's the only guy that's come along since Cale Yarborough to think that 4-peat. You've been there with 3-peat, or capable of the 3-peat. You knew what it was like to be a part of a team. How good is this team?
Well, first of all, I want to say good morning to everybody. And, you know, while those guys are laying on the beach over there, Kyle and I are here. We're homesteading in Victory Circle because this is where you want to end up at the end of the day. This is where, when it's all said and done, whether you've won the race or won the championship, you want to spray the champagne, you want to scatter the confetti, and this guy, Jimmy Johnson, is getting ready to do something that none of us have ever done before, nobody's ever done before. That's why I'm here. I wanted to be a part of history. I wanted to see this go down, and even if he doesn't, I want to be a part of Mark Martin's first championship. So today is the biggest day that we've had in this sport in a long, long time.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being along with us today. We got a 3-hour extravaganza of a NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot coming your way. We've got Mark Martin, Jimmy Johnson, and when we come back, the secret to Chad Knaus' success, at least so we think. We'll be back in a moment.
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. Visit homedepot.com. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And brought to you in part by Copart.com, an online auto auction where you control the price you want to pay. Go to Copart.com today.
When you consider that theoretically one mistake in the pits could cost somebody a championship, you find out just how important guys like Alan Gustafson are as crew chiefs for these championship efforts. And we are ready to crown our White Ball Crew Chief Winner of the Year, Crew Chief of the Year winner. And for that, we go to Jeff Hammond.
We've been following the White Ball Wipers crew chief for the race each week, voted on by myself, along with crew chiefs Todd Barrier and Bob Osborne. This year's winner will receive a check for $20,000 from White Ball Wipers business leader Stephanie Rosenau. I'm with Chad Knaus, who's been crowned the 2009 White Ball Wipers Crew Chief of the Year. Well, Chad Knaus, back-to-back winner as far as the White Ball Wipers Crew Chief of the Race Award. Outstanding job by you as well as the 48 team.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's pretty neat to be able to be selected for this White Ball Wipers Award by the tough panel that we've got. Obviously, it was close competition this year with Darian Grubb and Alan and everybody involved in it. But you know, I think it speaks volumes about what we've got at Hendrick Motorsports and what we can do with this 48 team.
Well, guess what? Now you've got to make more room in your shop and around the house for some more White Ball Wipers.
I'm not going to have to make a lot of room because I use them up pretty quickly around my race shop. So I got a lot of stuff at work and a lot of projects, so I go through them pretty quick.
I guess the question would be, how about the award for next year? Do you feel like this is something that, you get behind, you're really excited about it, and everybody in the garage area being a part of it?
Oh, absolutely. I think if the crew chiefs really don't get as much recognition as the drivers typically do with awards and things of that nature. Usually it goes to the drivers, but, for a crew chief to be able to get this and win this award, like I said, selected by you and a bunch of our other peers, that's pretty cool.
Well, Johnny, all I can say right now, from crew chief and back to you, we're going to be having a good time down here in the garage area. Well, we're hoping you're having a good time out there.
No question about that, Mr. Hammond. Remember to log on now to whiteball.com/speed to receive a free box of White Ball Wipers product and a chance to win a VIP experience at the Irwin Tools Night Race at the Bristol Motor Speedway in 2010. And our own Larry McReynolds has the privilege every weekend of working with Chad Knaus on the NASCAR Performance Show. And Larry, can you give us some insight into what makes Chad Knaus and that number 48 team so good?
Well, I think it's a long list of things, but the one thing that impresses me about Chad, and I do talk to him a lot, is he's never comfortable. He never rests on his laurels. I can guarantee you, last week at Phoenix, where they led over 235 of 312 laps, Chad Knaus, after that race, was breaking down what they still needed to do to be better. And I can almost guarantee you, even this week, thinking about Homestead in this championship, he's looking across the horizon. He's thinking about the 2010 season and the 2000 Daytona 500. He gives respect, but he demands respect from that guys on that race team, and it works.
Larry McReynolds, thanks a lot. We got to take another quick break here on NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. We have already crowned 2 champions. There is a third to be crowned today. When we come back, we'll look at the 2 race winners and the 2 champions, and one of them is one and the same.
To be a champion, to be thought of as a champion, that's your ultimate goal. And the feeling, of that accomplishment is more than you could ever imagine. And it's something to be very proud of, something that takes a lot of work. It takes a great team. And at the end, if you do it better than everybody else, you get to be considered champion.
And Jeff Gordon knows he is a 4-time champion in NASCAR's Top Series. But earlier this weekend, we crowned 2 champions, and it is considerable to argue that this is the hardest championship in all of sports to win because of what has to go into this long season. Brad Keselowski in the number 88 on the Nationwide Series goes for a spin. That was on his own. But remember, Denny Hamlin had promised that he was going to get some retribution, and here he got it, lap 35.
Yeah, here he comes off the corner. Now, I believe he could have lifted right there, and he decided not to, and he wanted to show Brad, hey, watch this, dude. You're going to do a couple 360s here down the straightaway. No harm, no foul, but they did penalize Denny a lap for that.
So here's the way Kyle Busch did it. He went out, won the race. All he had to do was start the race, but then Denny Hamlin did not cause this spin, but Kyle Busch did it on his own. All he had to do was start the race. Instead, he finished it as the winner.
And he had a great year, fans. I mean, this guy's got like 6 or 7 second-place finishes. Like 6 or 7 wins. Just absolutely incredible year for that, Kyle Busch Nationwide Series team. Pretty impressive, Johnny.
Let's take a look at the final standings. What you don't see here in the top 10 is the 11th place finisher in points, and that's none other than Kenny Wallace.
Well, you know what? I want to thank my race team, the U.S. Border Patrol. We finished 11th in the series. I missed it by 29 points, but a shout out to my nephew, Stephen Wallace, in 7th. What a great job. Jason Keller, a full-time Nationwide driver. So, a shout-out to those Nationwide drivers like Jason Leffler, Mike Bliss, Algar, Wallace.
Brendan Gaughan.
You saw it live on Speed Friday night under the lights. There you see Kyle Busch in the 51, Kevin Harvick in the Ford truck. It was Harvick that was doing the spin for the checkers after 2 consecutive wins, but it was his driver in the truck he and Delana owned. Ron Hornaday, his 2nd consecutive champion, and a series leading 4 overall. Congratulations to Ron Hornaday on another championship. But there we see the results of the Ford 200, Harvick, Crafton, and Colin Brown.
And I want to tell you something. Matt Crafton gave him a run for his money in the last month. Matt Crafton is getting strong.
Let us now go to Hermie Sadler, who is standing by with more from the Camping World Truck Series. Hermie?
Well, thank you, JR. We've got the man right here, Ron Hornaday. Congratulations on your 4th Camping World Truck Series championship. You got to sometimes wonder how this happened so fast, huh?
Well, I know how it's happened. It's Kevin Delana giving me great trucks and Chevrolet and all the support we've got from all these great sponsors. But here at the track, I got to see if Jimmy could do 4. A lot of people don't think about it, but Jimmy's done it in the old cars. He's done it in the car tomorrow, and it's going to be pretty exciting.
And also the last couple of weeks, we've seen your boss, Kevin Harvick, debut what we think is some new equipment in the future for Kevin Harvick Incorporated. And once that filters through the system, looks like next year could be a solid year for you guys also.
Very fortunate. I think we've won 6 races, and 5 of them races were brand new trucks. And I went up there the other day. We had 13 trucks there, and I went up there, and there's only 4 trucks left. So he said, we got the 2010s coming, and them guys back in the shop, and within 7 days, built a new truck for Kevin for Phoenix. Went back from Phoenix on Saturday and Sunday, built another new truck for Homestead, so I can't wait. I mean, Kevin said these are enjoyable to drive, and it looked like it, and it's a shame because you got a points race. We came here to wrap the championship up, but we still had to race Kyle Busch for the owner's deal, and I still had a points race yesterday, but a good weekend, a good year, and a lot of people to thank, and I get an opportunity to do that on Monday night.
You started to talk about it a second ago, but put in perspective, what do you think it'll mean to the history of NASCAR if Jimmy Johnson's able to pull off 4 in a row? If you're not in the sport, you may not understand how hard it is to do.
It's real hard, and especially this era of and what NASCAR's done with these cars and the different tracks we're going to, and with Dale and Richard, and they had tough competition, but now these cars are so close, and if you look at the whole field, they're within a half a second. And to do what they've done and dominate like they did last week at Phoenix, I just don't know how to explain it. I mean, it's tough to do, and to get 4 in a row and have that kid stay on my couch is pretty cool.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson started good friends with Ron Hornaday. He's come a long way in a short period of time as well. And I want to go back to my buddy Jimmy Spencer. You know, Ron Hornaday did it over 50, winning a championship. And Mark Martin, if there's an upset, could be another over 50 champion this weekend.
Yeah, Hermie, you know, and I'm not over 50 yet, so I'm very proud of these guys that are
over 50 a long time
But
ago.
Ron Hornaday, congratulations. And Mark Martin, I'm not giving up on you yet, but I know I have a lot more chances next year to root for a 50-year-old guy to win this championship. I think it's pretty cool. But Ron Hornaday, over 50, good job, bud.
Way to go. Nicely done. Kyle Busch and Ron Hornaday, champions already this weekend. We will see what happens today. And when we come back to NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, we'll go to the boss himself. Brian France, CEO of NASCAR, comes by to talk to us about where the sport is going in the future and where it's come this year.
As the year draws to a close, we've got questions on next season and beyond. The Big Boss Man joins NASCAR's proletariat down on the set and sheds some light on our sport's future. Coming at you, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Yes, there is the business of crowning 3 champions in NASCAR's 3 Top Series this weekend, but there's also the business of having a good time here in sunny southern Florida. You got South Beach, the beaches, the palm trees, and our friends down at the beach were talking about some sort of scenery. I'm not sure quite what they meant, but perhaps we can ask them a little bit about that later. Right now, we are privileged to have the boss man himself, CEO Brian France, coming to join us. Brian, thank you so much for coming by and spending some time with us. We know this is a busy time of the year from you, but we certainly appreciate you coming by.
Well, I always like this as a tradition now, and you just said it, being in South Florida for our finale, I can't think of a better place to crown a champion, and we'll do it today.
And what a thing we are looking at, Brian. What a piece of history in all of sports. One of the most difficult championships to win anywhere is in NASCAR because of the length of the season, the teamwork that's necessary, and we're about to see a guy potentially make 4 in a row.
Yeah, it's historic. It's going to be historic either way. If for some reason he's not able to achieve that, Mark Martin would be the oldest champion. Rick Hendrick's going to tie Richard Petty with 9 either way. But what Jimmy Johnson's been able to do in anywhere in sports is just phenomenal, and you have to give him a lot of credit and that whole team.
You know, Brian, I want to get to the thing. You guys made some stuff this year. It's pretty interesting, double file restarts. You know, now you're going to have set times next year. What's some more things on the horizon for the fans that we can look forward to?
You know, what we do is we've got our fan council, which we talk to 9,000 or rather 12,000 fans every week about a variety of things. And it's really neat to hear the interaction that we have and what they want. And what they want is, you know, the great racing that we've always been able to provide. And we're gonna continue to do that. Obviously, we have a new car coming out with the Nationwide Series. It's a good-looking car. We think it's going to race well. All those things. But you know, we're really trying to help the teams right now with the economy and the way it is. Try to make sure that they're as well funded as possible. That the competition on the track is at a level or exceeds the level that people expect, and that's what we'll be working on the offseason. Are there things we can do with the car or formats to make great racing even better? And that's always our goal, but it's certainly a paramount goal today.
Brian, I think everybody knows by now that I represent the Nationwide Series, and that new Nationwide car that we're going to run next year is getting rave reviews by Sprint Cup drivers, Nationwide drivers. Do we see some things coming from this car over to the Sprint Cup Series maybe in a couple, 2-3 years?
I don't know. We're going to have to see. They're obviously different cars, but you know, it's like anything new. It takes a little time for, you know, teams and drivers to get fully comfortable with something, and that's been the case with in the Sprint Cup with the new car, the COT car. But that's all behind us because, you know, most of the teams are up to speed. They understand what they're doing, and we're getting all the other benefits that we hoped. And so we'll see if there's some things that we pick up. We're going to do some different testing. We'll be looking at the you know, the rules packages going into Daytona. We always learn a lot coming out the final race in Talladega, which we did. And so the whole thing for us is, you know, listen to our fans and you know, trying to put the best racing in the world forward.
I'm just so excited about finally we're getting a Hall of Fame. Your grandpap, your dad were inducted, plus 3 other drivers, Junior and Dale and Richard. That has to be a pretty big honor for NASCAR to finally get a Hall of Fame.
You know, well, what was really neat was we had the inductee group, which was 50 some odd historians of the sport, former drivers, Junior Johnson, those kind of people, all in the room debating, what some of the potential Hall of Fame inductees were going to be, who were they going to be. And that 3 or 4 hours, which we did about a month ago, was really neat. Pulling all the past and the historic people that have made this sport. Now the Hall of Fame will now be, that'll display everything. That'll put everything for people to see. So we're really excited. It'll open in May, and that'll be another nice piece for this sport.
You know, tomorrow morning, a lot of people are going to go back to work, you included. What gets you motivated?
What gets me motivated is keeping, we got so many stakeholders in the sport that we're trying to keep satisfied. That's always tough. But really to keep working on the racing product with our competition group to make it better in the off season, working with our teams across all 4 national divisions and our regional and local stuff as well. Just trying to make sure that we're doing everything we can in light of all the things that are going on around us to continue to put the best racing product that we can on the track.
Hey, Brian, when there's a lot of negative news to report, sometimes the facts are a casualty. And if you look at the facts, take the worst of NASCAR, take the worst that's gone on in NASCAR the last couple years. The worst you can find is something that's down about 20%. If anybody looks around society at large, you can find a ton of stuff that's down 50% or greater. I think maybe if you look at those facts, the rumor of NASCAR's demise was greatly exaggerated at this time last year.
Well, look, we've been around for 60 years, and we've seen our share of turns and twists and ups and downs, and this sport has got the best fans in the world. We know that. They have high expectations that what they see out there is the best it can be. We understand that, and you're right. Every weekend, it's 100,000 people on a given weekend or more. Usually one of the most watched sporting events of the weekend. We got a lot to be proud of, even if it's taking a turn here or there.
Brian, in 2 months, we'll be going to the Daytona 500. I love the Daytona 500, but we just came from Talladega, where we seen Ryan Newman's car start flipping. What's going on at NASCAR in the safety department? Have you heard anything? They're trying to make that car sit back down and not continue in the air.
Yeah, we certainly are concerned, and anytime a car gets airborne, and the roof flaps and other aero pieces on the car don't perform, they perform correctly, but it still doesn't work. Obviously, we're going to sort that out. We tested on Monday and Tuesday.
Awesome.
Right after that, so we always learn a lot out of a Talladega event in October on our way into February.
Daytona, baby.
Yep.
I love it.
Man, there's nothing like it. Brian, thank you so much for your time. We certainly appreciate you coming out here. We know the fans appreciate it.
All right.
And we're looking forward to a great race on the track this afternoon. We still have so much more coming your way on this ginormous issue of NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot. We still have Mark Martin, Jimmy Johnson coming your way, and Wendy Venturini gets the real deal behind that race team.
It seems like yesterday. The Brat was on top of the world, and a new season had just begun. Fast forward 10 months, and we're ready to hand out the real hardware. We'll backtrack, then bring the season full circle. Memories. Stay tuned. NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Yes, NASCAR on speed in 2010. We suggest you be there, but we are here at the Homestead Miami Speedway wrapping up 2009. And of course, the main focus here is the championship. That's why they call it Ford Championship Weekend here at Homestead. But as many other drivers are out on the racetrack today, there is a story behind each and every one of those. And for more on that, let's now go to our Shell Garage Report. And we start out with the pride of Emporia, Virginia, Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, JR. And obviously, coming into the 2009 season, I think pretty much everybody said Jimmy Johnson is the man to beat until somebody knocks him off that perch. Well, who would that be in 2009? Looking back in February, we said the 99, the 16. They combined to win 11 races in 2008, none so far in 2009. Matt Kenseth started off the year 2 wins in a row. Roush Fenway, after those 2 races that Kenseth won, has not been a factor and has not won so far this year. The 99 of Carl Edwards and the 16 of Greg Biffle would like to change that today. Here's what they had to say.
You know, we couldn't come to a better racetrack. Roush Fenway does really well here. Our Fords run well. Last year was a good race in the Nationwide Series and the Cup Series. So, you know, hopefully we can have a good run. I want to be in that top 10 really badly. So we've got to make up 44 points on Casey. Had a dream last night that it all worked out, but then I woke up this morning and realized we still got to go do it. So, you know, hopefully that's the case, and you know, hopefully we can get that top 10. But we've been running well in the mile and a half, so I'm pretty excited about being here for the final race.
It's been very difficult, but they're not easy to win either. And it'd be very disappointing to go a season without winning a race since I've been able to win every year. I don't think there's a driver in our sport that's done that.
Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards have both won at Homestead in the past. They'd like to do it again today. Wendy?
Well, thank you, Hermie. Now, there's a lot of guys that we've been watching in 2009, but one of the greatest stories when it comes to new car owners and new teams has been Stewart-Haas Racing. Tony Stewart and teammate Ryan Newman have had an unbelievable season. Now, of course, Ryan Newman has been winless since the Daytona 500 since 2008. Tony Stewart has gotten to victory lane. He says his greatest accomplishment this year was that all-star win for the organization and for those crew members who had never been to victory lane. Here's a look at what Ryan Newman and Tony Stewart had to say this week.
I've been like a proud father. It's been neat to see over the last 13 months how this has all come together and progressed through the season. So you know, from that standpoint, I don't think I could be any happier. You know, obviously, you know, we wanted to win the championship this year, and after leading the point standings, you know, we felt like we had a good shot. We just you know, couldn't get that run in these last 10 weeks that we wanted, and we'll do what we can next year to try to pick up on that and improve on it.
Kind of a catch-22. You know, look forward to this race, but also look forward to the end of the season and you get to do some things and you know, kind of regroup with the team because didn't know what to expect going into 2009, and you know, we've got a good group of guys with Tony Gibson leading them that I think that we can you know, have come out of the box really strong in Daytona in 2010.
And when you come to Homestead, Tony Stewart's been to victory lane twice at this racetrack. Ryan Newman has raced here twice, but his best finish is 6th. They hope to go out on a high note and even better their points position, but nonetheless, a great cap to the 2009 season and a successful year for a new team, new car owner, and all of the guys that are involved in that organization. They are really proud of what they accomplished. They won't say it, but I'll say it for them. Now let's head over to Hermie for more on what's happening in the garage.
Well, thank you, Wendy. And we also want to look ahead to next year. Who's going to step up and challenge this 48 team to keep him from potentially winning 5 championships in a row, or to challenge Hendrick Motorsports as a whole? A team that has shown some promise in recent weeks. Richard Childress Racing, the 31 of Jeff Burton, the 33 of Clint Boyer, the 07 of Casey Mears, right on down the line. These guys have started to show some steam, and also Kevin Harvick in that 29. Jeff Burton has 3 consecutive top 10 finishes, and Clint Boyer behind me has 2 consecutive top 10 finishes. Last week at Phoenix, Jeff Burton drove from 36th to 2nd on the racetrack, so they're showing some muscle, and they've been fast in practice. They'd love to finish off 2009 with the victory and look to be a contender with all 3 cars in 2010. Wendy?
Another guy that we've watched this season has been Juan Pablo Montoya. In the chase, has been competitive, but he's been winless still in 2009. It's been 91 races, believe it or not, since his first career win in Cup and Infineon. Now here he comes into Homestead with a great attitude. However, his car has been a handful. If we look at what happened in practice this weekend, he's hit the fence a couple times, unfortunately for Juan Pablo, but it has been just cosmetic damage. He said it was a horrible day from Friday, Saturday. It continued on, the spins, the touching the walls. We know how you can rim right around this racetrack, but it can also get you into a lot of trouble. Juan Pablo and the team has been working on the car all weekend long, but he says it is a handful and these cars are tough to drive at this racetrack. Johnny?
Wendy, thanks a lot. And quickly going back to your point about Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman, those 2 teammates led the Cup Series with percentage of laps completed, 99.7% of the laps both Ryan Newman and Tony Stewart completed. So that's a heck of a job for that first-year team. When we come back, the good, the bad, and the ugly of 2009. And we're not talking about Kenny, Jimmy, and me. We're talking about the real good, bad, and ugly. You decide. The long and winding road of the 2009 season has come to its finale here in Homestead Miami Speedway. We've seen new winners, new teams, young drivers and old drivers, and one team still on top.
1, 2, 3, gentlemen, start your engines.
The 51st Daytona 500.
It's the biggest event of the season. It's the first event of the season. Brian Vickers, Dale Earnhardt Jr., that ain't gonna stop, boys. Vickers hard.
It's kind of sad. I mean, you know, to wreck somebody intentionally like that in front of the entire field is really kind of dangerous, but apparently he wanted a caution pretty bad.
What happens that causes wrecks is blocking.
Matt Kenseth, only the 4th driver in NASCAR history to win the Daytona 500 and the next race.
Johnson to the inside of Hamlin. He bangs him, and Jimmy Johnson takes the lead with the bump and run in turn 3.
Jeff Gordon finally wins in Texas. Can Keselowski try to win it?
He goes to the outside. His Edwards going to he turns it.
Unbelievable. Carl Edwards' car destroyed.
NASCAR just puts us in this box, and we'll race like this until we kill somebody, and then they'll change it.
Mark Martin wins at Darlington.
3 wide and 2.
Oh boy, here we go. This is going to be tight right here. He's got him. Oh, there we go.
Keep your foot in it.
Wow. 2 to go. Stewart's
And he
going to
has
get
got
the
him.
lead.
He got him.
Clear.
Tony Stewart makes $1 million.
White flag is out. Jimmy Johnson's
Oh, look at Biffle.
He's shaking it. He just went to the switch. Half a lap from the finish. Mark Martin to the lead.
Jimmy Johnson, I thought he was going to make a
Kurt Busch goes around.
The 48, we got run into at Sonoma. We got run into again.
That was just a racing deal.
Starting to lose faith in his ability to be a 3-time champion on the track.
He's mirror driving right now. He may get turned for mirror driving. Here he comes. There he turns him. Busch in the wall. Here comes Stewart to the checkered flag.
Man, that's an ugly finish. Block me once, that's okay. Block me twice, you're going in the wall, and that's what happened.
There's nobody that loves winning. There's nobody that hates losing more than he does.
NASCAR making a major rule change in the middle of the season. It's double file restarts, shootout style.
Denny Hamlin goes to victory lane for the first time in 2009.
Too fast entering, pass through. Thank you, NASCAR, for screwing my day. Relax. What do you want me to relax, dude? We have this in the bag.
Ryan Vickers does it at Michigan.
I was going to tell you to pit so I could put 4 tires on it right here, but y'all was jabbering, so just what you get for waiting so late.
Wow. Hard deal. Huge lick by Jeff Gordon. Mark Martin on the bottom of the racetrack. Kyle Busch by 1 car length.
Mark Martin, he raced me clean, and what a class act. I mean, he deserved to win this race.
Goals are to make the chase.
Make the chase.
To make the chase.
Make the chase.
Kyle Busch missed the chase by just 8 points. Contact Hamlin, who was the leader.
It's the 4th race in the chase, and it has taken a bad turn for Denny Hamlin.
You will not be allowed to push someone, to bump draft them, or to shove them through the turns.
We've heard. Oh, here's a car upside down.
Big time crash upside down.
Ryan Newman.
We got one upside down.
Mark Martin, his car got upside down, barrel rolled.
No question, Jimmy Johnson has a sizable lead in the championship, and he is in control at this point.
Jimmy Johnson's sliding off turn 2.
Trouble for Jimmy Johnson.
Man, he's got a lot of damage.
The whole field thinks that this championship is back open again, and you know what? It is.
Could Jimmy Johnson bounce back?
Here in Phoenix, Arizona, Jimmy Johnson winning for the 7th time this year.
Trying to make NASCAR history, becoming the first driver to win 4 consecutive titles. No one's done it in the 61-year history of the sport. From the All-Star race to the road course, Tony Stewart and Stewart Haas Racing were a huge part of this 2009 season. And Larry McReynolds, no one expected this team to stink, but I don't think anybody expected them to both be in the chase.
Well, I think it probably surprised everybody. I think maybe when Tony Stewart did this, it was kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, he'd been at Joe Gibbs Racing for 10 years, 2 championships. He had won a race every single year, but I felt like it was a no-brainer for Tony Stewart. It was a no-brainer for Gene Haas. Haas. But, you know, when fans look at our sport, they look at painted race cars, they think about horsepower, aerodynamics, pit stops, and certainly all of those things are true. But I think what Tony Stewart took from Joe Gibbs Racing is the fact our sport is about people. And that's the thing that Tony Stewart did the best job at with adding Ryan Newman, bringing Darian Grubb, Tony Gibson, Bobby Hutchin. He did the best job in the world at saturating that team with good people, DW, and then letting them do their job.
Yeah, you know, Larry, one of the things that those of us that have tried to run our own teams that always failed at was we tried to wear all the hats. We tried to wear an owner hat, a driver hat. We tried to do the PR. We tried to sit down with the team and do team meetings, and you just were not able to do that successfully. What Tony was able to do is just like what you said. Those people he brought in, Bobby Hutchins for one, and then you bring in Darian Grubb and the crew chiefs and put people around those guys. That's why Tony has been successful. But remember, he had a platform. He had a building block. He didn't start from scratch. He walked in, and it's what I call the blind obvious. He saw all the problems. He fixed them.
Yeah, you know, I think when I look at it, he did have a platform. And what he had was he had the Hendricks organization a little bit. He had Grubb's experience over there working with Jimmy Johnson, but he had the Hendricks cars and the Hendricks engineering. You still have to go back. Tony Stewart became a leader this year more than anything else. And I think my biggest surprise, when I look at 09, I think the thing that surprises me the most this year, when I look back on the season, is Tony's, yeah, they got 2 cars in the top 10. You know, Hendricks organization, they're doing that. But the thing is, over the winter, nobody really caught up with the Hendricks organization. I really thought the Roush team coming out of last year, with Carl winning all those races, with everything happened, I really thought the Roush team would catch up. The Childress team went down a wrong road early in the year. Now they've had to regroup, and we just heard how they're catching back up. I think that shows how competitive this sport is. If you start the winter or start the year behind, you don't catch up.
And you know, a telltale sign of Tony the owner versus Tony the driver. Tony the driver, he didn't have a lot of nice things to say about Goodyear. Tony the car owner, well, now that's a little different story. They're not that bad.
Darrell, the thing is right now, when you think about all these teams during the course of 2009, what I'm looking at is a policy that came out a year ago of the no testing. I think that was an effort to try to slow down what Hendrick had been accomplishing the previous 3 years. And I hate to say it, but I think it's backfired. I think a lot of teams that needed that help, you mentioned RCR turning things around. Roush Fenway needs to get back on track. You can't test except when you get here at the track with the right tires. I think if there's one thing that's been kind of defining this year is how Hendrick Motorsports took advantage of no testing and made it better for their operation, while everybody else, including Gibbs, they've all struggled. The only other team I think it did well because of this, you'd have to take a look at Earnhardt Ganassi. They seem like they benefited from no testing, as well as Stewart Haas. But again, I look at all these groups that did well, they're all Chevrolets. I think the Chevrolet guys were ready. Everybody else, I think they pretty much suffered.
2009 year in review, you know, we look back, we go, tell us some things that NASCAR has done. What we learned this year, that NASCAR, the official NASCAR Members Club, there's a group of 12,000 fans. Yes, you the fans, that NASCAR has finally announced to all of us, we're listening to those fans, those 12,000 people. Now there are 129,000 members at the official NASCAR Members Club. And what we learned that those 12,000 people told NASCAR is we really like that all-star race. And we want to see double file restarts because that was really exciting in the all-star race. So for once, we always say, NASCAR keeps everything quiet. They're not letting us know nothing. Are they really doing anything? This year, race fans, we learned there's a group of 12,000 fans that told NASCAR we want to see double file restarts, and we saw it.
Coming up on NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, we'll take you down on the track, show you the new rules and procedures for today's race. And also, you know, one guy who knows how to get around this racetrack, the first chase winner ever, is Kurt Busch. Welcome back, everyone, to NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. You know, we said earlier in the show that NASCAR has clearly the longest season in all of professional sports. So, therefore, it obviously has the shortest off-season in all of professional sports. And our Larry McReynolds, being the eternal optimist that he is already counting down to Daytona. So, Larry Mac, let me ask you this. Not only how many days is it, how many hours, and could you perhaps calculate the high tides in the minutes before Daytona?
I am all over it, JR. It is 84 days, 29 minutes, in 13 seconds as we speak until we wave the green flag for the 2010 Daytona 500. And DW needs at 10 hours a night, right at 2,400 hours sleep to prepare for the 2010 Daytona 500.
Can we synchronize our watches for that?
I'm ready.
All right, let's
I want to get a good parking place.
It's like I said yesterday, you're a sad, strange little man. You're my good friend. President of the Daytona International Speedway, Robin Bragg, is with us, and that reminds me to tell you that make your plans now for the 2010 Daytona 500 and purchase a specially priced Speed Trackside Tavern ticket package. You've got a Daytona Super Stretch ticket and exclusive admission to the Speed Trackside Tavern. For more details, go to speedtv.com, keyword promo. Well, Robin Bragg, so glad to have you. One of the things that you have talked about at your spectacular venue, Daytona International, is not just fun for the fans, but it's always providing value. You know, they buy tickets, they could be there for Speed Weeks, but how do you meet that challenge of providing more value?
Oh boy, in these times we got to. And
yes,
you know, we're sitting there in Central Florida with Disney and SeaWorld, and we really got to be competitive. So our hotels have dropped their pricing. We've dropped the price of a Coke, a Bud, a hot dog, a t-shirt, a hat. We got free parking, $55 tickets. Your package, all you can eat. If you buy that $99 trackside, Speed Trackside, all you can eat back there at Super Stretch. We've got a new interactive fan zone on the Super Stretch. We'll have Ferris wheels, go-karts. That's no charge. So all those things collectively are going to add up to a very affordable weekend just 84 days away.
So you got anything new coming as far as...
oh, wait, whoa. Introduce your guest.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Come on,
Harley, you forgot Harley.
Harley Earl Trophy that Larry and I both have won before. I mean, we've both been to Daytona as far as victory lane's concerned. Very proud to be able to say that we are Daytona 500 winning crew chiefs. It's very much one of those kind of deals you can kind of throw your chest out and say, I am somebody. When you
Nice to see you, champ. Nice to see you, champ.
I like that. I like that. But how about the Daytona experience? I mean, I love going in there because it connects us back with some of the history of Daytona and the sport of NASCAR. And you guys have always got some really neat things. And Larry and I always talk about, you know, the Jeff Gordon car has always been there. You lift that off. Last year's winner, Matt Kenseth's car, is still sitting there. What else is going on there?
Well, that's just a great place. Everybody comes to our track so early, and if it's a little warm, we got air conditioning. Daytona 500 experience, great place to hang out. It's only at $25 to come in. We've got the IMAX, the car you talked about, more history about the trophy. We got Richard Petty's history there as well.
Robin, we lost your mic there for just a second. We'll get it back. And you know, guys, the other thing about not only the Daytona experience, but is the amazing fan zone right there next to the garage where fans can actually have a cold drink. They can walk above the garage area and look down at the teams working on the race cars. It's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, there's nothing but a window separating the fans from being able to watch all of those teams work on their cars. And what I love, and the drivers are very accommodating, is the little trap doors that they'll be able to put things through to get the drivers and the teams to autograph. But, you know, we had Brian France on earlier the show, and of course, one of the things that's happening for 2009 is the changing of the start time. Of course, we know we have lights at Daytona, but I don't think we're going to need them here in 2010. 1 o'clock start time.
It's such great news for us. Our fans were telling us 3 things. Hey, I got to get home and go to work on Monday. And they were getting out of there pretty late. They said, you know what, sometimes I almost have to buy another hotel room and a hotel room night. So we took care of that. And the third thing is what happened last year, or you know, with the rain delay. So it's good to know that it's a 1 o'clock start. Our fans have told us, thank you, Speed, thank you, Fox, and all the other broadcast partners, MRN, worked with us, and they're listening to the fans these days, and that's what we got to do.
You know, last year I was a little concerned, Robin, when NASCAR said no testing. I was worried about January. But we came down there. You had a fantastic experience for the fans. Most of the drivers were down there from all 3 series. Tell us about the plans. Will that return this January?
January 15th, 16th, make your plans. Come down. NASCAR's promised, the drivers, the team owners, the crew chiefs, officials, all coming down. We'll have some Richard Petty ride and drive cars on the track. We'll have pace cars on the track. So we'll have some action. We'll smell some rubber and get it done down there. But all the drivers are coming down there, helping us sell tickets, and start off January like we always did. And we got the ARCA test still coming up, and supposed to be some girl running around the track in that thing. So that's what I'm hearing about that.
Inside
information. I'm humpy, man. I'm out here pedaling, baby. Let's get something started.
And you know what? Old Larry Mack follows the weather, and I've already dug my almanac out for 2010. I promise you, for Fan Fest, it's in the books. warmer weather than we had last
Ooh, it was cold down there last time. Look at this.
Look at this. Robin, look at Larry getting his feet warmed up.
I promise you, Bill.
Hey, Robin,
France weather, I promise you.
Robin, I'll bring the trophy back to you in February, okay?
Wait a minute.
She looks good on
I won mine before you did.
Don't fight,
I
boys.
won mine
Don't
first,
fight.
though.
Okay.
I won mine first.
Share it.
Robin Bragg, thanks for the hospitality, man. You
Great.
guys put
Good
on a
luck to
great
you.
show.
Congratulations on a great year, you guys. We've been watching you all year.
Thank you, man.
We're going to have another mix from...
Gentlemen, thanks a lot. We still have so much more to come on this huge extravaganza of a NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot. When we come back, some major storylines from 2010 on the horizon, and also we'll take a hot lap around Homestead. Welcome back, everybody. We're under the palm trees in the sunny skies of southern Florida, getting ready to crown the 2009 Sprint Cup champion. But now, let's go down on the racetrack for our Advanced Auto Parts Texplanation with Mr. Hermie Sadler.
Well, for this week's Advanced Auto Parts Explanation, let's talk about the racetrack. And when you talk about a racetrack that's done right, they did it right here at Homestead. It has what we call progressive banking. It invites racing all over this racetrack. Let's tell you what progressive banking is. Basically, why hit the white line at the bottom of the racetrack? A Mark Martin type line. Look at our angle finder here on the bottom of the racetrack. 18.2 degrees of banking. What progressive banking is, the further we make our way up the racetrack, the more banking you have to help turn the race car. So let's go about 2/3 up of the racetrack, put the angle finder back down again. What does it give us? It gives us right at 20 degrees of banking, 19.7 degrees of banking. Well, we got some more room to go up this racetrack. Let's go up here to the Dale Earnhardt Jr., Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson line we saw effective in qualifying. All the way to the top of the racetrack, put our angle finder down, 20.3, 20.4. It doesn't sound like much, but 2 to 3 degrees of banking really helps the car turn better through the center of the corner. So it's positives and negatives to both sides. The bottom of the racetrack is a much shorter distance, but not as much banking to get the car to turn. The more you come up the racetrack, you're traveling a longer distance, but that extra couple degrees of banking really helps the car turn and get a run off of these corners to these long straightaways. So let's watch what line prevails tonight in the race here at Homestead. And one other note to the fans at home, in years past, coming on to pit road, we've always used this access road coming down out of turn 3 around here going on to pit road. Well, for this race, NASCAR says let's come straight off the racetrack, off turn 4 on the pit road like we do every other week. So an adjustment for the drivers, the spotters, and the crew chiefs, but at the end of the day, I think it'll be safer and it'll help NASCAR do a better job of monitoring speed on and off pit road.
Hermie Sadler, thank you, and great job all year long explaining to us what's going on down there where the rubber hits the road. If you want to learn more about NASCAR's new race car, go to the Advanced Auto Parts Virtual Cutaway Car on speedtv.com. Now, drivers, let's strap in, take a hot lap around this racetrack. Nobody better to do it with, though, than the smoke himself, Tony Stewart.
Yeah, this guy here has won 2 races already here at Miami, but none under this new angle banking, this new progressive banking, like Hermie said. But look at this car all the way to the bottom, Tony about 3/4 of the way up. And that's the key here. But I also want you to notice no lines on this racetrack. He's following Michael Waltrip here. He's going to try to make a move to the outside. Kenny, the key is going in this corner. What line do you take entering turn 3 here?
Well, the smoke can run anywhere. Race fans, let's watch here. He's running high, not afraid to die. Can he do it? Tony Stewart. Now look, here he comes off of 4. Listen to the throttle. Let's go down into 1 and 2. Let's listen to the throttle.
Lift early, Kenny. Lift real early.
Coast, coast. My point is, race fans, you're not a daredevil when you get in these race cars. You run wide open, you let off the gas. One thing I'd like to point out is how bleach white this black asphalt has turned. We are down here, I mean, we are as far south as you can get in the United States, and this sun has beat this asphalt just to its whitest core. And it's a very slippery racetrack, Jimmy Spencer.
And what I also don't see, fans, a lot of bumps, so there's not a lot of things. I think this track changes a tremendous amount. This track changes more than any track they go to. They're going to start under the sun here, and they're going to end under the lights. A lot of things will happen today in this race, Johnny. Be exciting.
And like other things in the world, it gets better with age. Speaking of getting better with age, let us now go down to Darrell Waltrip, who spent a little bit of time on this racetrack. DW, I'm talking about the racetrack, you know.
Yeah, I know, JR. And Kenny, this one's for you. You got to go around here lightly, slightly, and politely.
I agree.
That one's for you.
You're so good at words, Darrell. You're very good at words. Thank you.
I just want to tell you, I was out there this morning in the pace car doing about 120 miles an hour. The one thing that I really noticed that was different about this racetrack, if you look at turns 3 and 4, everybody kind of dive bombs the bottom. A lot like we saw Carl Edwards do yesterday in the nationwide race. The reason you can't hold the bottom so well is that turn is a lot like turn 2 at Darlington. It's kind of, you almost got to come out of that turn and make an extra turn to keep from hitting the wall. So that's why you see cars getting really bad loose up off turn 4. That turn just kind of all of a sudden quits on you and dumps you, and that's why you see the car getting a little bit loose when they come out of 4.
Yeah, and everybody talks about progressive banking. I think it's incredible, just what Hermie showed us. We raced on progressive bank tracks. Darlington, it was flat, there was bank, and there was a wall. That's progressive, baby. And it got narrower and narrower. And that's the way this place gets. You know, no matter what you say, it's multiple grooves, but eventually you're always looking for grip. And as bleached as this place is, there's not a lot of grip. So you're going to see guys all over this race.
And just real quickly, one of the things Jimmy mentioned about the lines, no lines on a racetrack. It's like trying to drive down a paved road with no lines on it. You don't know where you're supposed to be, and you don't know when the other guy's in your lane. So that I like lines on a racetrack.
I think a lot of drivers do too as well, Darrell Waltrip, but you got to know what, guess where you're going down there. If one guy knows what he's doing, it's Chad Knaus. He is closing in on his 4th consecutive championship as a crew chief. So let's go to Chad for our Sunoco pit strategy of the week.
I truly can't think of a better place to end the season than Miami Speedway. This track is awesome, unique to itself. A lot of racetracks that we say are the cookie cutter mile-and-a-half tracks, not this one. Very straight straightaways. Everything going into the corner is completely different than what you see at the other racetracks. One thing you got to be very, very cautious about here is your driver's vision. Once again, like what we had last week in Phoenix, the sun's going to be setting and the driver's going to have difficulty seeing into turn number 1. You're going to go about 55 laps on a Sunoco fuel run, and the thing you really got to pay attention to, the multiple grooves around this racetrack. You don't have to have worn out tires to get up towards the top and actually run fast around this racetrack. You can have very new tires running around the top of the racetrack and really set a blistering pace. It's unique, it's different, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can promise you the action will go all the way to the last lap.
Chad, thanks a lot. We appreciate that Sunoco pit strategy of the week. Had you been with us earlier on NASCAR Race Day, you would have known that Chad Knaus is this year's Whiteball Crew Chief of the Year. You know, you can get involved with this thing by visiting whiteball.com/speed. There is the big trophy handed out by our own Jeff Hammond and Stephanie Rosignol. Chad Knaus is the winner once again and got a big old check, only it's going to be hard when he goes to the bank in the drive-thru to get that check in that little drawer. I don't know how he's going to do that.
He's been all sorts of places this year, and now he's coming to Miami. What kind of mischief will Rutledge get into? And do we even want to know? Stick around to find out. NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Homestead Miami Speedway, one of the more colorful racetracks in all of NASCAR. We've seen lots of colorful fans all season long, and today Rutledge is with the most colorful fan of them all, this year's grand prize winner.
Well, it's the last time we get to be here for the M&M's Most Colorful Fan this year, but this is it. This is the blowout. We picked our winner. Right turn, Ryan. Who is it?
Rutledge, we have Cindy Peace of Havana, Illinois. She is our most colorful fan.
Cindy, and I see you've got a Kyle Petty shirt on. First on, congrats for being the most colorful fan, and congrats for being a Kyle fan.
Thank you.
Been fun so far?
Oh, it's been fantastic.
Well, I hope it's okay. When we told Kyle Petty that you were the most colorful fan, he said he had to come by and thank you himself. So there's Kyle right there. Go say hi.
Congratulations! First Kyle Petty shirt I've seen in 100 years.
Oh my God!
Jump right in here.
Now look at this, but that's not all, is it, Left Turn Lindsay?
Nope, that's not it. Cindy, you're also going to be featured in the new NASCAR Hall of Fame in May.
In the most colorful fan section for M&M's. What a great winner. Kyle's here to usher in. What a great time we've had. Thanks for all the fans participating. We've had a great time for M&M's most colorful fan, which is Cindy.
Congratulations once again to Cindy Peace, and thanks to M&M's. Be sure to visit Cindy at the M&M's most colorful fan display at the NASCAR Hall of Fame in May 2010. Hey, Kenny Wallace, where's Mark Martin from?
Batesville, Arkansas.
Well, you know where he's coming next. He's coming to NASCAR Race Day when we come back.
He's dominated the chase for 4 years running, and now he's taking charge of a flashback. We'll show you how Jimmy stayed on top of the racing world and held the cup year after year. Around the turn, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Well, there's an old adage in racing that goes, you got to be there at the end if you want a chance to win it. Anything can happen before the checkered flag waves, and we saw Mark the Kid Martin do exactly that today.
If we're this close, I'm going to run hard.
Good job, Mark.
Nice and smooth. One more.
Mark Martin takes the checkered flag.
Mark Martin breaks a 97 race winless streak.
He knows he truly took one away tonight and earned this victory. Yes! Yeah, there you go.
Love it. Those surprise wins are great. That just means so much. And Arlene, thank you for letting me do it.
This win is huge.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the truly unique aspects of NASCAR racing is the fact that it's the only professional sport where all competitors compete at the same venue for every event. There are guys in the garage area who are respected. There are guys who are well-liked, and I don't think anybody would leave Mark Martin out of either of those two categories. Is that right, Kyle Petty?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You know, I think when you look at it, you know, Mark was racing when Darrell and I started. Let me just go ahead and say that right off the bat, okay? But I got to tell you something, and I got to correct Kenny Wallace. Kenny said that Mark was from Batesville. We went on a little motorcycle ride last year, and we went through Mark Martin, Arkansas. I think they changed the name of it from Batesville to Mark Martin. But we went through the museum down there, and I was totally blown away by the museum at your dealership. From racing at the short tracks around Arkansas to the Apache stove, to being here, to going back to ASA. I don't think a lot of people know your whole story. But here's my question. To do what you've done and to do what you're doing today, do you ever just stop for just a second and look back and say, man, it's been a long road to get to this point?
I have. I've looked back and reflected. You know, it's easy, Kyle, to take for granted where we're at right now. People would kill to be in a position to have a long shot at this championship. Much less, you know, and I was serious. I just wanted to win one more race, you know. Yeah. And then after, if we were lucky enough to get one, then we'd talk about multiple wins. But this is the reward that the 5-team gets for being so on it this year. To have a long shot. We're the only ones that even have a chance to take this away from Jimmy.
So, Mark, 2006, you said, that's it, I can't take it anymore. I've heard you say it 1,000 times. I can't do this anymore. I cannot drive any better or any harder. But then all of a sudden you had a couple of years there where you had that limited schedule. What made you think, and what gave you the confidence that coming back and running a full schedule was going to work out for you?
The 8 car gave me a shot to win twice. And, you know, those 2 races, if things would have just went our way, we would have won last year. And, you know, that said a lot. And I knew that 5 car would be fast, but it still took some persuading from Mr. Hendrick to get me to sign up because, you know, I really remembered those days when I said I can't do it anymore. I just can't, you know. And the frustration I felt and the burnout and all that stuff, felt none of it this year. Hendrick Motorsports, Alan Gustafson, everybody at Hendrick Motorsports has taken so much of the load away and put so much joy in it. And I came into the season a happy person after 2008 and through 2008, and that's just carried forward.
Well, I got to tell you, I owe you an apology. Because I thought about September, and I told you this. I said, they're going to hear Mark now. I don't know why I decided to do this. It's the worst thing I've ever done. So I owe you an apology. You are a new man, a new Mark Martin. You've had a great attitude all year long.
Thank you.
And you're sitting there with the NASCAR Illustrated 2009.
Yeah,
Person Award.
how about
Congratulations for that, because that's a big honor, and I know it'll have a place. But, you know, I don't think you are so well respected. I think John Roberts said it in the beginning. And I read some of the story in NASCAR Illustrated about Rusty and some of that stuff. You've always raced everybody clean. And you've got to look at yourself in the mirror in the morning and say, I won that race the right way. And that's the thing, and that's the legacy that you leave this sport as a great champion, as a great winner. And nobody's more deserving of that Person of the Year award than you. I'm a huge Mark Martin fan and have been forever, you know that. And I say a prayer for you every night, and I've been pulling for you all year.
Well, thank you. It really means a lot to me. I can't imagine how I earned that with so many great people in this sport. It's very humbling. I know Tony Stewart won it last year. And believe me, I don't think I'm near the man that Tony Stewart is. No. So I don't know. I'm very grateful and humbled by this.
5 IROC championships, 48 nationwide wins, second 4 times in the chase or in the championship, third 4 times as well. So you're always been up there. Somebody's always in your way. Somebody keeps you from doing it. Get out there and get it done today.
Let's do it.
Lead the whole race. That puts all the pressure in the world on that 48 team, and that would be fun to watch.
Listen, if we're not leading, it ain't possible with our ride, because we're going to be racing hard.
And I'm just going to say one other thing. You know, he lists all that stuff, but here's the deal. Husband, father, son, brother, friend, great race car driver. That's your award, man.
Thank you, Kyle.
JR.
Kyle Petty, thank you so much, and we appreciate Mark Martin coming by just a couple hours before he goes to try to pull off the impossible. If he can't get it done, how does Jimmie Johnson's streak stack up against other great sports streaks? We'll talk about that when NASCAR Race Day rolls on.
I wanted to win a championship back when I was young. I didn't take this job to win a championship. I took this job to drive a fast race car and win races. That's what's really important to me. A championship would be okay, but I've been beat by some of the best in the business. I've been beat by Dale Earnhardt, been beat by Jeff Gordon, and I've been beat by Tony Stewart, and I'm not ashamed of that.
Mark Martin has 4 second-place finishes in the final championship standings, and today he goes for a first, his first finish, P1. Jimmie Johnson scored his first chase win in Dover. He followed that up 2 weeks later in California, his home track, and a place where he has dominated over the years. Speaking of domination, how about Charlotte? Jimmie started to extend his title lead, but then his only misstep was in Texas. A lap 3 wreck tightened the standings, but his 4th win in 5 Phoenix starts stretched his lead to 108, and that is a big mountain for Mark Martin to climb, but stranger things have happened in the world of motorsports. Richard Petty didn't do it, Dale Earnhardt didn't do it, but now Jimmie Johnson is on the verge of an unprecedented 4th championship, and therefore he would define the word champion.
I guess if you think about it, you can get into a variety of different meanings of champion and what that could be. It could be on the track, it could be off the track. But in the world we live in inside of the race car, it's someone on track that is at the top of their game and focused on every aspect of what it takes to be the best that year.
Keep doing it like you've been doing it all night long. You are the best out there. Caution will be coming out. There's a crash behind you. You are the man.
Jimmie Johnson has won the Daytona 500.
You are my hero.
Looking like a practice session for that 48 car right now.
His average finish at Indianapolis had been 25th. Today it's first. Jimmie Johnson wins the All-State 400 at the Brickyard.
Jimmie Johnson may just be too strong.
For the 5th time this year, Jimmie Johnson goes to victory lane here at Martinsville Speedway. Jimmie Johnson is going to be the 2006 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series champion.
Now, I know there's a spot in Mr. Hendrick's case when you walk into his office of all of the champions that have driven for Hendrick Motorsports, and there's an open one sitting there, and I've had my eyes on it for a while.
Jimmie Johnson a lap away from pulling off the trifecta.
The Lowe Chevrolet will win for the 3rd straight time here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Hudson, you are the man. God, you guys are awesome. God. Jimmie Johnson looks to put double digits in the win column.
Moving for the 10th time this year, he is championship material. Jimmie Johnson will win the Checker Auto Parts 500 at Phoenix.
Waving the white flag. Waving the white flag. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
And Jimmie Johnson wins his 2nd consecutive Nextel Cup title. He'll win the honor over Jeff Gordon here tonight by finishing in the 7th position. The two-time defending Cup champion, hoping that his second win this season can catapult him to a third straight title.
Jimmy Johnson will capture his second All-State 400 at the Brickyard and wins by 3 car lengths over Carl Edwards.
Jimmy, that was great, bud. Great job, man. Way to work it today, buddy.
Jimmy Johnson proving he's determined to go for 3 championships in a row as he wins today at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia.
The championship chase continues for Jimmy Johnson. He wins at the Phoenix International Raceway.
Carl's going to win the Ford 400, and Jimmy Johnson wins his 3rd consecutive NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship.
2008 Sprint Cup champion. Repeat, baby. Yeah! Woo! How does it feel to be a part of history? Damn, that's awesome. I'm proud of you guys. Thank you. Johnson to the inside of Hamlin. He bangs it, and Jimmy Johnson takes the lead with the bump and run. Great job. He is free and clear, and he's headed for home.
Jimmy Johnson wins for the 6th time here at Martinsville.
Hi, boys. Get limbered up here. Gonna need you. Go. All out. Go. You got him, baby. You got him. Nice.
I may kiss you when this is over, Chad.
I'll take one for Shanny. I gave it all I had. He just beat me off a 4 too much there.
Jimmy Johnson becomes a 3-time winner at the Brickyard.
Hell yes, boys. Hell yes.
For Jimmy Johnson, it's his 3rd win in the chase, his 6th win this season, the 6th time he will take the checkered flag at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Unbelievable, boys. Woo!
You're a 3-time champion. This is the way you're supposed to race. Jimmy Johnson comes to the line, winning for the 7th time this year.
Yes. Where'd that fight finish? Great job, Jimmy. Chad, great job, guys. Fantastic job today, man. Great effort.
400 miles stand between Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, and a 4th consecutive Sprint Cup Series champion. We know it's never been done in NASCAR before, but let's take a look at some other racing disciplines and see who has won multiple championships. Sebastian Bourdais, Seabass, did it in the kart series, 4 consecutive championships from 04 to 07. And what about Michael Schumacher in the ranks of Formula One? 5 in a row for Michael Schumacher. Valentino Rossi in the MotoGP from 2001 to 2005 was 5 in a row. And how about Tony Schumacher, no relation, in the NHRA Top Fuel, 6 consecutive championships. In the World Rally, some of the most grueling racing anywhere, Sebastian Loeb won 6 championships in a row, but nobody close to John Force in the NHRA Funny Car from 1993 to 2002. John Force won 10 consecutive championships. How about some other sports for you? The New York Yankees from 49 to 53. Well, they won 5 in a row. The UCLA men's basketball team, 7 in a row. Boston Celtics, 8 in a row. But when you consider Mr. Jeff Hammond, the team sport that is NASCAR, the amount of months you have to go through, and how one mistake in the pits, one mistake on the racetrack can cost someone a championship, just how significant this is for Jimmy Johnson.
JR, it's huge. I mean, fortunately, I was a part of working with Junior Johnson when Cale Yarborough was able to win 3 in a row. So when you think about what he accomplished a year ago, pretty phenomenal. It took 30 years for Cale to do it, and now we come to this year, 60 years after the start of NASCAR, 30 years after Cale did his 3 in a row. To go for 4, I started looking at how do you wind up winning 4? By being perfect, by winning races, top 5 finishes, top 10 finishes. When you compare Cale to Jimmy, the numbers are pretty much compatible. Jimmy's won 29 races in the last 4 years. Cale won 32. The biggest difference, believe it or not, is the DNFs. First 3 years, very close. Jimmy had 6 DNFs. Cale had 7. But in their 4th year, the most important, trying to go for 4 in a row, Cale had 6 DNFs. Jimmy Johnson and the 48 car have only had 1. Perfection at its best. I mean, that's how you wind up doing this, not only going to victory lane, but making sure you're around at the end of these races to score those points. Chad Knaus, everybody, Hendrick Motorsports, the engine department, everybody has done a fabulous job. And this is how you wind up winning 4 in a row, because I think they can do it, my friend. I think they'll pull it off because they don't make mistakes.
And you know, the one thing that I hate to do is compare what the 48 team is doing compared to stick and ball sports. I'm a huge football fan. I'm a huge baseball fan. But when you think about it, yeah, to win a Super Bowl or to win a World Series, you maybe have to beat several teams one at a time. Jimmy Johnson and the 48 team, or anyone that wins a championship in NASCAR, you have to beat 42 teams week in and week out. And I think the thing, and someone said it earlier in the show, to look at this 48 car in this era, where the competition level is today. You look at 2009 alone, we've had 14 different winners. They did it under a chase format that had 10 drivers. Now they've done it under a chase format that has 12 drivers. They did it in 2006 with the old car. 2007, half-season old car, half-season new car. And last year, and looking like this year, Steve, they've done it with the new car. It doesn't seem, no matter what agenda, what format, they rise to the occasion.
And here's the other thing, guys, that I think makes our championship special and unique. You talked about stick and ball sports. A football field is 100 yards long, always has been, always will be. The basketball court, the ice rink, they don't ever change dimensions. In our sport, there's half miles, 3/4 miles, a flat mile, road courses, super speedways, and mile and a halves. And for Jimmy Johnson and that team to win 4 in a row, I think that's what makes it really special here, DW.
Here's the other thing, Burns. And this team has the personality of Jimmy Johnson. I said, no, wait a minute. It's more like Chad. It's not. Jimmy's faults, as far as fans are concerned, are his strengths when it comes to this race team. He never panics. He always gives great feedback. Most crew chiefs, you know this, Jeff, Larry, they whine on the radio. The car doing it, the car doing it. I mean, how are you going to fix a car like that? Jimmy has great feedback, but it's that personality he has. That's why, just like at Texas, when the car got knocked out of the race, did you hear any panic in anybody's voice? No. Workmanlike ethic. They just went in there, they got the job done, they got the car back out on the track. I give Jimmy Johnson a lot of credit for keeping this thing together. He drives the car, Chad drives the team. They're a perfect match.
Darrell, thanks a lot. You know, we're just barely revving our engines on this edition of NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. We're going to take you all the way up to the pre-race festivities. But just how competitive our teammates at Hendrick Motorsports, well, they're so competitive, they even go at it in rock, paper, scissors.
This time last year, Jimmy, you and Carl Edwards played rock, paper, scissors. So can we do it again with you and Mark, a second annual rock, paper, scissors? You could just sit back and watch the entertainment. You in for it?
Do you have any instructions? I mean, is it like tic-tac-toe? I mean, no, but I mean, is there a way that, you know, in the tic-tac-toe, there's a strategy where you can win? You know, is there a strategy here that is better than others, or?
I know. I don't think so.
We'll go on 3. We'll do the best of 3.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes. All right, on 3. 1, 2. All right.
Whoa.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
The counting's got me all messed up. Ready?
All right, I won't count. You do it.
Sorry.
Okay.
I won't count.
Just say go.
All right, ready? Go.
Oh, what does that mean?
It's a tie.
Oh.
Keep going. Ready? You're 1 up.
I like it.
He's not too coordinated.
Is this the last game?
Okay.
That's the last one?
Ready? Okay, here we go.
Well, what's this? Did you see that? He went like this.
Was it too slow?
Well, you looked at what I did and then he threw scissors out.
Okay, well, I think
Mark won.
Well, that's
Mark
2.
won. Mark won.
I won.
So
I don't even run the last race here.
Maybe it's an indicator for Sunday then, for you.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay.
All right. It was fun. Thanks for having fun with us, guys. That was good. At least we can laugh a little bit. All these serious interviews,
So
you know?
true. Good way to end things. Lighten it up.
Welcome back, everybody. We are under the palm trees in the partly cloudy skies of Homestead, Florida, and the final race of the 2009 season. It has been long established as a fact that racers dance to a different drummer, but only Booty Barker could make it, so New Year's Eve comes in November. To explain, let's get the good stuff.
So what are we doing the off season leading up to the 2010 Daytona 500? Well, I'll give you some insight on some things that already have been happening or soon will. The most important thing most likely is money. If you hadn't secured your sponsorship, let's say a little after Indy or been working on it, you're sure to be closing it soon or else you're not going to be in business at all. So for the accountants and merchandise people and everything else, these things will wrap up early next week. Then you have personnel changes. What you do then is you have your team going all the way through Homestead, and then if you have a new crew chief coming in or other changes you want to make, Monday is so-called hatchet day for a lot of people, unfortunately. It's a sad day in our sport because you hate to see guys lose their jobs, but a lot of people are aware of it and knew these things are coming, so they're just waiting for the other shoe to drop, whether to go find another job or they might have a big surprise. Then also you got cars. Well, for Daytona especially, you don't start building your cars in the off-season. You've already started a couple months ago, and you need to get these cars built initially and take it to the wind tunnel numerous times. Along with your downforce cars, you're going to try to make those lighter, and you're going to also try to make more and more downforce so they stick better coming up. Now you want to integrate all these changes together before you go to Daytona. You want to get the crew together, the new crew chief, the driver, whatever you may have, and try to get some time on a local short track just to get acclimated to each other so you perform well throughout the season, especially since you really can't test. Well, you know what? Listen to my self-talk right there. There really is no off-season, is it? Looking forward to Daytona 2010, and that's your Napa good stuff.
Booty Barker, thanks a lot. Now, guys on the outside of the chase looking in started planning for next year a long time ago, but even now, guys on the inside of the chase are still planning for a little different look for next year. For more, let's go to Wendy Venturini.
Yeah, things are really heating up when it comes to 2010 and where everybody is going to end up at the end of silly season. Well, here we are, the last race. There's still some question marks, but we'll tell you what we know already on NASCAR Race Day. We had to break out the whiteboard for the season finale. Now, Roush Fenway Racing does have to go to 4 teams for 2010, which does away with the 26 car. Driver Jamie McMurray, it was announced this week that he will be moving over to that 1 car at Earnhardt Ganassi Racing. There was a lot of speculation. Things are in place here at Homestead. We know that's true. We already knew from the summertime that Truex was leaving Earnhardt Ganassi Racing to go drive for Michael Waltrip Racing in the brand new number 56 number because, of course, Michael Waltrip retiring from that 55 car full-time, Truex will be filling in. Now, the big question that was answered about 2 weeks ago was Pat Tryson. He's going to be filling in as crew chief for Truex, leaving Penske Racing for that number 56 car. There is speculation that Tryson's going to take a lot of these crew members with him from Penske Racing to Michael Waltrip Racing. Now, that leaves Penske with a question mark of the crew chief. We know that Kurt Busch is going to be driving it. We don't know who the crew chief is. However, I did speak to some team members on the 2 car, and they said there was a meeting in the coach lot last night with Roger Penske, and there has been a lot of speculation around Steve Addington as the crew chief for Kurt Busch, who of course has just left the position as full-time crew chief for brother Kyle Busch at Joe Gibbs Racing. Steve Addington is here at Homestead on behalf of Joe Gibbs Racing, but by tomorrow, when the gauntlet falls on a lot of these teams, that can all change, Kyle. Monday is pretty exciting. It's too bad we don't have a race day on Monday.
We need a race day on Monday. Sometimes you need a scorecard. That was the perfect scorecard. But what I find interesting this year, more so than maybe any other year, is we didn't have a silly season this year. That's the strange deal. All these guys were either in their contracts, or what precipitated the silly season itself was Roush having to go from 5 teams to 4. We did bring up Brad Keselowski. We did switch Truex over here, and we moved some people around, but it was more of a shuffle. And I think the one thing that'll go on over the next couple of weeks is as we look at RPM, Richard Petty Motorsports, as we look at how that goes down, as we look at what happens with Paul Menard, where he ends up, as we look at the Childress organization, we're going to see a lot more reorganization over the winter. And I think what we're going to see is these teams get stronger and stronger, because I know people are going to be unemployed and they're going to get laid off. That's just a fact of the winter. That's part of this sport and has been for 60 years. It's got nothing to do with the economy. It has been for 60 years. But we're going to see these teams take the opportunity to hire some really good people.
Well, Kyle, I think that's really something we need to look at first the next week. Just the health of the sport, the economy of the sport, and what's going to happen to some of these mergers that teams are just trying to survive. I think that's what a lot of these teams are in. They're in survival mode. And what we're going to have to watch over the next few weeks is how many people are going to get laid off, how many people are going to get fired, and who's going to come, who's going to merge with who. That'll be kind of interesting to follow over the winter as well.
And you know, DW, the heartbeat of the race team is the driver-crew chief relationship. And you know, you go back to FanFest in January, Mark Martin was on one of our shows. We were asking him what to expect. He said, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what my relationship with Alan Gustafson's going to be like. We have no idea how Pat Tryson and Martin Truex Jr. are going to be together. We don't know how Kevin Mannion and Jamie McMurray. I think it's one of the reasons that Richard Childress went ahead and put Todd Berrier and Jeff Burton together here at the last 3 races of 2009. It's one of the reasons that Joe Gibbs put Kyle Busch and Dave Rogers together the first 3 races, is to get their feet wet and not wait to the Daytona 500. But I do think one of the biggest questions, and I'm just not sure about about Kurt Busch in that 2 car is who's going to be his crew chief. I know Wendy touched on it, but I still think that's a big question to answer.
2010 preview, you fans say, what do we have forward to look to next year? Well, I got to tell you something. We've always longed for rivalries. My friend Darrell Waltrip sitting down there, man, he would go at it with some of the best in the West. He even said to some of the drivers, I'll meet you in the Kmart parking lot. You want to duke it out? Well, race fans, you've asked for it, and you've got it. What I'm looking forward to next year in 2010 is I'm looking for this Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski rivalry to keep digging, baby. You know why? Because, remember, Rusty Wallace threw the water bottle at old Dale Earnhardt. Darrell Waltrip would challenge you to a duke at the Kmart parking lot. Race fans, you say all the time, we want it. We want to see something going on. I want to see Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski rise to the occasion, and I don't want NASCAR to interfere. Matter of fact, I'd like to see a boxing match once in every once in a while.
I think the big thing for me is just the disappointments this year. I look at Childress's camp, totally disappointed with him. I look at the disappointments of Gibbs race and only one guy making the chase. The other disappointment was Roush. I mean, let's face it, these guys had between them 11 wins last year. They have none this year between 16 and 99. Long winter ahead for these guys. I don't think the 99 or 16 is going to win today. So at the end of this race, they're looking forward to next year. I am too, because I think we need more competition for the Hendrick camp. There's no question about it. I think NASCAR can help them by testing. But at the end of the day, I think we need to see Roush, Childress, and Gibbs get back stronger, and I think testing will help them, Johnny. I'm sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No, Jimmy, what I was going to say is I don't care what anybody says about anything else, about people, personnel. If people do not make the right changes, I'm talking about these teams across the board. If you are not the Jimmy Johnson team, you are looking to make changes to get like that 48 team, because until you can beat Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, you're not a championship contender, you're only a pretender. There's a lot of changes that need to be done with all these teams across the board, Steve.
Jeff, a couple quick notes about 2010. Can Michael Waltrip Racing continue to improve as he steps aside? And we talked about it briefly, a lot of energy at Penske Racing. You've got Brad Keselowski going over there. Kurt Busch has had a great resurgence this year. He's the elder statesman at 31 years old. And 2 young guns there chomping at the bit. Justin Allgaier and Larry's favorite driver, Parker Kligerman.
Yeah, Steve, a lot of names you mentioned right there, a good competition, but they all know who they have to chase, and that's Hendrick Motorsports as they get ready to close in today on a guaranteed 9th championship. We just don't know who it's going to be yet. When we come back, we'll talk about what some of the stars of NASCAR are going to do in the offseason.
What's it like going for a 4th Cup in a row? How does it feel to be a race away from a 5th championship runner-up? How can one team have the top 3 chase drivers? Coming up, Wendy sits the top dogs down, and Mark, Jimmy, and Rick give us the answers. NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Welcome back to Homestead, everyone. We're about a little more than 24 hours away from the offseason in NASCAR. We know Jimmy Spencer goes to the Garden. We know Kenny Wallace goes to the dirt track. Larry Mack goes to the broadcast booth. And Jeff Hammond goes to the tanning booth. But what do the stars of NASCAR do in their offseason?
Renovate one of the rooms, turn it into a baby room. So I've got my honey-do list for that. We got to repaint it and move furniture out and put new furniture in, and just kind of get ready for the baby coming along. So that's what we'll be doing this off season.
I'm gonna race my go-kart. I mean, I really enjoy doing that. Actually, Elliott Sadler, when he found out I'm gonna be driving the Bass Pro Shops car, invited me to go to his place hunting. So I'm going up there, I think, for 4 or 5 days to go hunting next week.
I take 10 or 15 of my buddies and we go to the desert for a week riding. So looking forward to that. And then running the off-road race in Henderson, Nevada, December 6th. So it'll be my first off-road race. Looking forward to that.
We're gonna spend Christmas at home, have some fun, enjoy the new house, and then from there we're gonna go out to Phoenix for a little bit and get prepared for going to our wedding in January. So we pretty much have it laid out. It's gonna be busy, but a lot of fun things going on. And looking forward to getting a little time off.
Go to sleep. No, I don't know.
Oh, Chip won't sleep. He'll be working hard. You know, one of our neighbors here in this fan alley here at Homestead Speedway is the Sprint Experience, and they were going to celebrate this weekend the 500,000th fan that has come through the Sprint Experience. And as usual, our good friend Rutledge Wood ended up just one short.
You know, the Sprint display has been out here every single weekend all year long, providing fun for the fans all weekend long. They've got fun games, they've got simulators, they've even got something really special going on today. Let's go check it out. $499,999. If I'm that and you two are next in line, you should come with me. You should come with me. If I'm $499,999, that means these two are the 500,000 people through to display this year. This is great. 500,000 people have come in here. You guys are 50501. They've got a great prize pack, all for just coming through the display. It's going to be a great weekend. You guys got 2 sweet tickets. You're going to be on the front stretch helping Jimmy Johnson before the race. Afterwards, the championship, you guys get to help out.
Oh, is that great? Oh, yeah, smooth light. All right. Congratulations once again to Rob and Sylvia Anderson, and great job by Sprint to welcome 500,000 race fans through their experience throughout this year. You know what Rutledge is doing in the offseason? Going out shopping for more hair gel. I think, exactly. When we come back, we're going to get the real deal behind Hendrick Motorsports. Welcome back, race fans, to championship weekend here under the palm trees in the sunny skies of southern Florida. Now, what you don't see here is that Spencer is actually wearing that hard hat, and he's buried in the sand under there. We'll get him dug out and get him back up here to the set in just a moment. But right now, we got to talk about one young driver and what he is about to accomplish if everything goes as expected. Joey Logano has a commanding lead right now on the Rookie of the Year chase, and if he could pull that off, that means Greg Zipadelli will have 2 Rookies of the Year. For more, let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, JR, and thanks to Joey Logano for joining us in between the drivers' meeting and headed back in for church. But hey, you came into this series with a lot of fanfare, but if you had, they told you back in February you would win your first race, have a chance to get top 20 in points and win Rookie of the Year, that can't be all bad for you.
I'll take it, I guess, yeah. After going through the first 8 or 9 races, I didn't think we'd be even close to the top 20 in points. So hopefully we can finish it off. There's a chance we can finish, 18th or we're 21st. So we got a little points race of our own going on today with the Home Depot Toyota. So hopefully get a good solid finish, keep it in the top 20 and bring it home. I feel like I got a good race car. We didn't qualify that good, and I thought we had a good qualifying car. So we'll see. I think he's got to plug along, get by some cars early, try to stay on the lead lap. That's one of those deals you put yourself in danger on if you don't qualify good, especially here. It's probably with some long runs.
What is the one thing you'll take from this year you think will give you a head start in 2010, other than knowing how to get out of all the garages and get on the racetrack and all that? What's the one thing you'll take with you in the next year?
Just the experience of going to every racetrack and knowing more of what you want every time you get there. This place is kind of the first time I've been here, and you don't know until you race. I mean, you don't know until you get there or until you race other cars around you what you want to adjust on in practice. So I feel like we've done a good job here, though, of getting a car that's decent. And, I feel like we've done a good job all year of learning and putting everything we learned to use. So, it'd be nice to go in next season and taking those rookie stripes off and having it figured out a little bit more.
And before we let you go, we're talking to some other drivers about the off-season plans. What are you going to do in some of your off time coming up?
I got a lot of commercials and photo shoots, stuff like that. I'm actually going to Lake Placid to do the Jeff Bodine Bobsled Challenge, so that's going to be a lot of fun to help the bobsled team up there. So it's going to be a blast. I got to do it the last 2 years, so I'll do it this time. We got the sleds all painted up, the Home Depot on it. It's really neat. So I think it's going to be on Speed Channel, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, that should be a lot of fun. And JR, you can tell he's a rookie because I asked him about off time. He's talking about commercials and doing this and doing that. He's not old enough to know he's supposed to get off time yet.
And you know what, Hermie? He'll probably win the bobsled challenge the way he's been going over the past couple of weeks. Thanks to Joey Logano for joining us. And now we're going to switch our focus to one of his teammates. And with what Kyle Busch has done so far this season, it's not surprising at all that he's being called champion. Let's go to Wendy Venturini.
Thanks, Johnny. It was celebration yesterday for Kyle Busch with the Nationwide Championship. Finally, you wouldn't accept the championship until that green flag fell. How does it feel to be celebrating the championship for Nationwide this weekend?
It's pretty cool. You know, it's been a long time in this sport, and you know, growing up in Vegas and working as hard as I've worked, and all the people that have been around me as hard as they've worked to get me here. And you know, the most proudest moment was just being able to win that championship and being the exclusive group of champions. And of course, with my brother having his NASCAR championship that he has, and my parents being there last night, it was all really cool. So a big deal for us, and of course, being able to win for Joe Gibbs Racing in the Nationwide Series, their first full driver-owner championship, and of course, being able to bring home Z-Line's Designs and NOS Energy Drink and Toyota all their first championships.
I know it was sweet to have that trophy handed over to you last night. How does that prepare you on the Cup side? How can one championship carry over to prepare you for a championship on the Sprint Cup side?
Well, it kind of shows that you can do it. I mean, it's built on consistency, and you know, our year this year was just phenomenal over there on the Nationwide side, where we had 9 wins and however many seconds and thirds. You know, that's a championship season, just being able to finish consistency, have the consistency like that. And of course, not having the bad days, or if you do have bad days, being able to recover from those. And that's what the 48 car does week in, week out. And that's the guys, those are the guys that everybody's chasing after to try to beat. And ultimately, that's our goal. And hopefully, one of these days, we'll be getting, you know, cars that'll be capable enough of beating those guys where we can have a championship run.
Your crew chief 2 weeks ago, Dave Rogers, told me the honeymoon is not over. We're still in the honeymoon phase. So do you think that honeymoon phase will come to an end once we hit 2010 and really things get down to business for your first full season together?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say, but you know, you never hope that it ever leaves. You know, of course, you would know. You're happily married now, so. You know, with Dave and all the guys on this team, I mean, they work so hard, and we do so many things to try to make our cars better, and it's just about trying to get them better. And so the next step is now getting to the Cup Series and being able to get a Cup championship. You know, we've proven on the Nationwide Series I can do it. I've had a team that was capable enough of doing it. Now I feel like if I can just get the team and myself on the same page and capable enough of doing it on the Cup side, it's a little harder to do. There's a lot of better equipment out there, a lot of better drivers out there, so it doesn't come easy, and Jimmy Johnson makes it seem that way, but you know, it's those the guys that we're chasing.
All right, thanks to Kyle Busch. Congratulations again on that. Of course, 4 wins in 2009 with crew chief Steve Addington. I know Kyle Busch would like to end the season on a positive note with crew chief David Rogers in victory lane.
Yeah, Wendy, he's going to be one of those drivers to watch next year for sure. He's got a new crew chief and a whole new attitude over there for the number 18 team. And Darrell Waltrip, does this young driver, Kyle Busch, remind you of anybody in particular?
Funny you should ask, JR. People all the time ask me who he reminds me of. Well, he reminds me of Dale Earnhardt. Now, he's no Dale Earnhardt, but what I like about him is he's willing to do what Dale was willing to do, take chances to win. He'll do whatever he's got to do. He'll take whatever chance he's got to take to go out and win the race, and that was the way Dale was. He drove to win, and that's the way this kid is.
You know, DW, you bring a good point up about how you compare drivers. You know, and I'm going to compare teams. I think Joe Gibbs is loaded with a tremendous amount of talent. When you look at Logano and you know, Busch and then Hamlin, the thing that I like about that is their age. I think if they can get on any kind of track at all, get these cars to handle, that Gibbs is the future of this sport. I think all the Hendrick guys are up in their 30s now. They ain't got a lot left. I think the future is definitely with Gibbs.
If you added up the age of all the 3 Gibbs drivers, would they equal your age, Jimmy?
No.
It'd be a little bit greater, but I see your point. Great point.
73.
All right, well, definitely a bright future for that team. A lot of great young drivers and a great leadership group at Joe Gibbs Racing as well. They will be a team to be contended with next year. We still got to get down to business here at Homestead. We'll have the real deal on the horizon. What started more than 9 months ago on the sandy shores of Daytona Beach, Florida, now ends near Miami Beach in southern Florida at the Homestead Miami Speedway. It is a long, winding road. In fact, the longest season in any of America's major professional sports. And along the way this year, it seems like there's been a lot of negative publicity surrounding the sport of NASCAR. Let's now go to a former champion of this sport, Darrell Waltrip. And Darrell, along the way this year, you've been outspoken at times. Has some of the criticism been warranted and some been unwarranted?
You know, JR, I can't remember a year when I've heard so many harsh comments. You know, we've all had suggestions and we've all complained about things, but this year it's been a little bit more almost personal. The car, it's not very competitive. You know, fans in the stands, the economy, drivers. I don't think I've ever heard drivers speak out like I did this year. Think back to Talladega when I think it was Carl Edwards said we're going to keep doing this until somebody gets killed. Ryan Newman talking about the car getting in the air and, hey, well, you know, what are they going to do about it? I don't think I've ever heard so many negative comments in 1 year. And through it all, I know it's been hard on NASCAR, Mike Helton particularly, but they've stood tall and they've fought the good fight and they have not yielded. And for that, you have to give them an attaboy.
And you know what, Darrell, I want to play off of two things that you talked about. And we talked about attendance. And I've read so many things. I pick a Michigan race in August. And there was a lot said about 25,000 empty seats. Okay. There were still over 100,000 people in the Irish Hills of Michigan in August. Look at the two Bristol races, a short track. Over 160,000 people at those two short track races. And you know, you mentioned the car, and you know, like Brian France said, they know there's still work to do, but the thing that I'm the proudest of is the safety of this car. When you look at Carl Edwards and Ryan Newman at the Talladega Wrecks, when you look at Jeff Gordon and Sam Hornish at Watkins Glen and Joey Logano at Dover, and the list goes on and on. So that's, to me, looking at the glass, that it's half full and not half empty.
Oh, it's definitely half full, Larry. And I think when you look at it, I think when you look at the criticism, just like Darrell said, when you look at the criticism comes from inside the sport. And I think a lot of times when we criticize the sport, we love the sport. Darrell loves it, I love it, Larry loves it, Steve, we all love this sport more than anything in the world. And we feel like we have a right to criticize it because we love it so much. We only want it to be the best that it can be. And that's why we open our mouth and we say things that maybe we wish we could take back sometimes, but at the same time, we really want somebody to listen and say, listen to what we have to say, because we think the sport can be better. It can continue to grow. It's not plateaued in any way. Just like Larry says, so there's not 160,000 people in the grandstands. There's 120. Texas had one of the best races and the best crowds I've seen in a long time. Martinsville was a great race. So when you look at it, yes, this sport suffers just like the economy, and because of the economy and because of attendance and all this stuff. But at the same time, I think Brian France said it the best. It's been 60 years. We've weathered a lot of storms. We're going to come out the other side, and we're going to be stronger because of it, because we'll all pull together to make this a better sport.
And Kyle, Mike Helton said it on trackside last night. We're in this sport because we do love it. And it's not just a job. It's not a career. It's a lifestyle. And when we talk about this sport, we talk about it passionately, not to tear it down, but because once in a while we have a suggestion that we think can help, Jeff Hammond.
Well, the thing is, Steve, I mean, a lot like Kyle and just like Darrell, for example, we both have been around back in the 70s when we had a very low attendance. We've watched the sport grow. Sure, we're going through a little bit of a correction here in 2009, but what I like about it is we've made some changes during the course of the year, listen to the fans, trying to make the thing a little more exciting, yet still try to keep the credibility of what was established a long time ago. This is racing, folks. We race side by side. We beat and bang. We have wrecks. We have problems on pit road. It's what makes our sport exciting. We don't want to lose that element. We want some controversy. We want all these things to happen, and I think we've gotten some of that back. It's great to see some rivalries. It's great to see some of this discussion, and I think we have an opportunity to make our sport better. That's what's important, and I think we're still working at that, and we'll continue to work on that, Kenny. And in the end, we will come out on top like we normally do. That's what racers do. They figure out a way to win.
And race fans, in this era of negativity, that has been one of the highlights in 2009, all the negativity. And you know, I say to myself every once in a while, Herm, if you're going to get on NASCAR race day and you're going to criticize something, be man enough to say what you think will make it better. In other words, like Darrell said about a race car driver, don't whine and complain. Tell me what you're going to do to fix it. Now, I also want to say this. I think this is where we're at in the sport. You get into a good old fight, and you're fighting forever, and you fight, and then finally you and your wife are on the kitchen floor, and you're wore out, and you finally look at each other and you go, you know what? I love you. Let's be friends now. Race fans, that's where we are now. I am exhausted, just wore out, like Mark to my knees.
Hey,
with
Jimmy,
the negativity.
How did Kenny get on the floor of the kitchen with his wife? I don't know how that got there.
We are tired of the negativity now.
I see what you're saying.
I think the biggest problem with our sport is the drivers aren't stepping it up. I look at David Reagan, I look at Elliott Sadler, I look at McMurray, I look at Scott Speed, Reed Sorensen. These guys are like watching paint dry. Go to the local Home Depot store, get a gallon of paint, and watch it paint the wall, because that's how boring they are. That's the problem with our sport.
Now, what do you mean, Jimmy? The way they drive or the way they interview?
Everything about them. There's nothing exciting about him. What I like about Brett Keselowski is he doesn't think he does anything wrong. I like Denny Hamlin retaliate. I like the attitude Jimmy Johnson's got. I like the attitude Mark Martin's got. Hey, you guys inside, pay attention to the guys that are up at the front winning the races.
So you want McMurray and Sadler to fight?
No, I don't want them to fight. I want them to show me something. My God, they're like paint drying. They're boring. If we had 43 guys like that, we couldn't give tickets away. We need Jimmy Johnson. We need Carl. We need guys stepping up. That's my point. I just think these guys need to step it up, and they're not.
I got to wrap up, I know. But you know what? Say what you will about Jimmy Spencer or Darrell Waltrip or Rusty Wallace or Dale Earnhardt, but by God, they were passionate. They were on TV every week because they were fighting for the win. You're like me. You're a little crazy.
I love this sport, baby.
A little crazy. That might be the understatement of the year there. We got to take another quick break before we get in any more trouble. But when we come back, there is still another championship yet to be determined. It's a NASCAR Race Day Fantasy Championship. And us as champions, that's kind of a fantasy anyway.
Well, we can guarantee one champion won't repeat this year. Kenny's got a stranglehold on the top spot, but Hermie's charging hard. Can Sadler pull off the upset and wear the crown? Or will Rusty's brother capture fake glory? Fantasy picks are straight ahead. NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
I don't think an individual ever becomes a champion because there's so many people around him that has built him up or taught him or he's learned from or helps him win. So when you say a champion, it involves so many people. You say a championship, it involves even more people. So it's a very, very big word, hard to define.
Over the course of 7 championships, this 43 car became iconic, most for the driver behind the wheel, the king of NASCAR, Richard Petty. Now the 48 car, driven by Jimmy Johnson, has his own rule going on right now, and he could get an unprecedented 4th championship today. So from the king of NASCAR, we now go to the queen of NASCAR Race Day, and that's Wendy Venturini with today's Real Deal. Wendy?
Oh, so sweet, Johnny. Thank you. It is the last day of school. Now, when we get down to this final race today, a history can be made. You have Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin. Jimmy Johnson, 34 years old. Mark Martin, 50. 8th full-time in Cup, 22nd full year in the Sprint Cup Series. Jimmy Johnson's 3 championships. Mark Martin has finished 2nd in the points 4 times in his career. 400 miles separates these history books being written after today's race, a championship on the line. Well, before the hectic schedule here in the garage at Homestead Miami Speedway, I sat down with both of them, along with their car owner, Rick Hendrick, earlier in Coral Gables, Florida. Here's a look at that and this week's Real Deal.
No one has ever won 4 NASCAR Sprint Cup championships in a row.
Mark Martin is one of NASCAR's most respected, most accomplished drivers, but he's never won the championship.
He could pick up his 9th Sprint Cup championship at Homestead.
First off, congrats to all 3 of you for coming this far along. Jimmy with your 7 wins, Mark with your 5 wins. Those are accomplishments within itself, but add the championship mix to that. What a season for you both.
Definitely. As you point out, I mean, just an awesome year for the company, for us each individually, and
hopefully we can finish this deal up 1, 2, 3 in points for Hendrick Motorsports. It's just been an awesome year. We knew once we got in the chase, we'd have our hands full in the championship battle, and sure enough, we have. And it's just been an awesome year for the whole company.
Riding high.
It's really been fun. I can't remember having this much fun. I may have sometime in my lifetime, but this year's been really special for all kinds of reasons. But I think the relationships are what will last a lifetime for me.
Rick, you have to be sitting here. You're king of the mountain because you're going to leave Homestead with a championship and an unprecedented 1, 2, 3 finish. Is this how you dreamed it up?
Can you guarantee that 1, 2, 3? You know, when you start the year, you want to end up that way. I mean, that's your goal. It's just been a phenomenal year. I don't have quite as much pressure on me Sunday as they do, so I've got a lot though.
I think, Jimmy, the most common remark that I get from race fans is that they try to dislike Jimmy Johnson because of your domination, but you're such a nice guy. The role that you play, I think, is actually a really suave tactic on the racetrack because you're super nice to the drivers, to the fans, and then you wax them on the racetrack on Sundays.
Well, I'm glad the waxing part's been there. I mean, no telling how long that'll last. And this great fortune I've had over the last 3 years has been mind-boggling to say the least. It's been a wild ride. And the other aspect to that, too, that I do get at a certain degree is in sports, people don't like the Yankees, people don't like the Patriots, and I guess in our sport here lately, people don't like the 48 car, and I get that, that's sports. So a great deal of that I understand and get, but I am happy to hear that people respect what I've done and find me to be a good person. You know, that means more to me than anything.
And Mark, you're really known as that humble guy from Batesville, Arkansas that's just thankful to drive a race car. With all your years in the sport, I mean, you've been so close to this championship, but yet you always still are just saying how thankful you are and you just want to win races. Talk about how your approach and your approach on your career.
Well, I still remember I am that kid from Arkansas, and I remember all the things that I've seen, all the things that I've done, and where I came from, and I realize what an incredible privilege it is. The fact that I haven't won a championship just means that my record doesn't stack up to the greats in this sport, and that's okay with me, you know. I didn't beat those guys. I did some great things, but, you know, my record doesn't stack against the greats, and that's okay with me.
Jimmy, when I sat down with you in New York 10 weeks ago, you talked about the thought not overcoming your mind of, I can be the next champion. The thought when you get in that race car, how difficult will it be on Sunday?
I just don't want to do it, and as my mind tries to slip, I chase it out. I mean, I have to go out and run 400 miles, and the safest place on that racetrack is running up front. I mean, yeah, it's a good points lead, but there's still a race to run. I want to show up scared. I want to show up worried. I want to show up hungry, and if I do that, I know I'll do my job.
All right, Rick, final words of advice for Jimmy and for Mark going into Homestead. What words of advice do you give them?
You do exactly the same thing you do every week, the same approach that got you here, and go out and run your race and do your best like Mark said, and you've got to be awful good to get here. You've got to be, you know, a champion to be in this position, and the things that you can control you will, and the things that you can't, you can't. Just do the best, and it's another race.
It's another race, but there's a lot on the line for that one other race. Now, when we got here to Homestead, Mark Martin qualified fourth. The goal for Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus were to get on the pole, which they did. Jimmy Johnson's on the pole for today's race. They also wanted to be fastest in happy hour. That goal was not accomplished. Jeff Burton was fastest in happy hour. He was 7th in practice. Talk about pit selection. Pit stall 22 for Mark Martin and pit stall number 1 for the 48. A slight advantage, but no matter what, it's hard to determine who deserves the championship more. Both have earned quite a bit in their career. Hermie?
Yeah, thank you, Wendy. When you talk about Hendrick Motorsports, to me, and we say it a lot here, you know, on speed and on race day, Rick Hendrick, unbelievable what this guy has been able to accomplish. And to me, it all starts with Rick Hendrick and works its way down, not only in his race teams, but automobile business. I know a lot of people that work on all his race teams, from the drivers right down to the guys that wash the parts in his shop on a weekly basis. This guy motivates people like nobody else. People want to win for him like nobody else. And I want to throw to Darrell Waltrip. Darrell, you had a chance to drive for Rick Hendrick, and it seems like everybody you talk to that works for Rick Hendrick has got that extra little fire in their belly because they want to do it for this guy. What is it about Rick Hendrick that makes all these people so supportive of what he's trying to accomplish?
Well, first of all, Hermie, you don't want to disappoint him. He gives you everything you need to be successful. But Rick is a lot like NASCAR. Rick, he'll recommend, he'll suggest, he will encourage for you to do all the things that you need to do to be successful. But don't make him have to set you down and give you the rest of the story, because you don't want to get on Rick Hendrick's bad side. He's a great guy. He loves people to death. That's he's that way to a fault. But don't get on his bad side. You go out and do your job. That's what I'm paying you for. Jimmy Johnson exemplifies what a Rick Hendrick prototype is.
Darrell, the thing that I loved about working for Rick Hendrick is he made me feel like I was working for my dad, because he treats you like he treats one of his family. I mean, he will give you the shirt off his back. You've already kind of summed it up. But he makes you, because, you know, he makes you want to do well for him. He makes you want to work that extra hours. You want to make him feel like he can be proud of you and what your accomplishments are. And the cool thing about it, you keep pointing it out, as long as you do well, as long as you keep making those strides that he thinks is in the right direction, he's there for you. But man, when you make a mistake, he's just like your daddy. He'll jerk that belt out, and he's not afraid to whoop you if you have to be, Larry. I'm telling you, he knows how to get your attention, and I respect him for that.
Well, the thing I've observed, and I've never had the pleasure of working for Rick Hendrick, but I've worked for other multi-car teams. I worked for Yates Racing. I worked for Richard Childress Racing. And even though there are other multi-car operations in that garage area that thinks they all work together, I don't think any of them do it better than Hendrick Motorsports. You'll see 3 or 4 teams in there that's under one umbrella. Maybe one's running one set of chassis, one's the other. That defeats the purpose of multi-car operations. But that wreck right there at Texas, that made a statement about Hendrick Motorsports, not about the 48 team. Just look at the other team members. A 24 team member, Jason Burdett, who's the car chief of the 24, over there trying to help his teammate Steve get back out on the racetrack where they can accumulate as many Sprint Cup Series points as they possibly could.
And guys, I want to comment on the Real Deal interview, which was great. Mark Martin says, my career doesn't stack up to the greats. Oh, yes, it does.
I'm glad you're bringing that up.
We are in South Florida, right? Well, Dan Marino had a Hall of Fame career as a quarterback for the Dolphins. He's in the Hall of Fame. Mark Martin will be in the Hall of Fame. Whether he wins a championship or not, he is one of the all-time greats.
Hey, guys, you know, Larry, you talked about that wreck at Texas, and people were criticizing. They were complaining about the other teams going over and helping get their competition back in the race. And I say to the people that said that or think that, you don't know much about our sport. That's how we got to where we are, helping each other, supporting each other, loaning people, loaning parts, loaning pieces. That's what made this sport successful, and that's what will keep it successful.
You know, we can sit here and come up with all these reasons why Rick Hendrick is so good. But one of the greatest examples of why Rick Hendrick is so good, 2 years ago, you know, finally Roger Penske wins the Daytona 500. And right here, here's Roger Penske, here's Rick Hendrick. And you know what Roger Penske said? He says, I've always dreamed of how there it is. That's what he wanted, an H hat, because the H hat stands for high standards. And Mr. Hendrick, how do you run your race team? Because I've got 60, 100 dealerships, and you can run your race team so flawlessly. So the ultimate, you know, I guess example of success is when Roger Penske says, I want an H hat.
And he got his H hat, also got a Daytona 500 win as well. And the standard has certainly been set very high by Hendrick Motorsports. They are guaranteed a championship, but which driver is still not guaranteed yet. And we still have a lot of work to do here on the NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot. We'll be back in a moment.
What makes a champion? Our pal Ken Squire has an idea, and it's not just about what you accomplish on the track. We'll shine the spotlight on 4 men on our A-list. Heading your way, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Isn't it crazy the way stuff just works out sometimes? getting golf carts. Those who edit, those sliding faders, audio tape, camera operators, NASCAR smarts and plenty more, and victory lane and NASCAR performance. Oh yeah, I almost forgot all the drivers and the one who ends up on top. Hey, hey, it's race day, rolling all across the USA, working hard, having fun along the way. Set it up, tear it down, take it to another town, living life like gypsies on parade. Hey, hey, it's race day. So let some R&R begin. It's over, but it ain't the end. Come February 2010, we're gonna do this thing all over again. Hey, hey, that's race day, rolling all across the USA, working hard, having fun along the way. Set it up, tear it down, and take it to another town, living life like gypsies on parade, working hard, having fun along the way. Hey, hey, that's race day, rolling all across the USA, working hard, having fun along the way. Set it up, tear it down, take it to another town, living life like gypsies on parade. Hey, hey, that's race day. Can you hear me?
There is an incredible army of very talented men and women who show up at this racetrack long before we do. All you see is us on the camera, but you don't see the work that goes in to making this whole thing happen. And we salute you, the crew, on another great year. Now it's time for us to put our money where our collective mouths are, and time for the final fantasy picks of the season. Kenna Wallace, 88 points over Hermie. Some of us are still mathematically eligible. Some are not. So Kenna Wallace, you get to start us out.
Race fans, this is my tribute to Mark the Kid Martin from Batesville, Arkansas. I grew up with this kid. He is going to win the race. Why? Once again, because I say so. Hermie Sadler, who are you going to try to get lucky with, Hermie?
Kenny Wallace?
Yes, sir.
I'm looking you. I'm looking you.
Yes, you are.
I'm looking. Hey, I'm going to pick Dale Earnhardt Jr., and I got two reasons why. Number one, I think the high line is going to be very important. He's been doing it all year. And secondly, I've got another theory. See this blue on this National Guard Chevy? It's almost the same color as the blue on that low Chevy. They see this coming, they're going to get out the way and let him go. He's going to win tonight. JR?
Now, Hermie, for my pick, I need the help from the fans here at the stage. Please repeat after me. Stick with the Biff. Stick with the Biff. Stick with the Biff. Stick with the Biff. Nicely done, guys. Nicely done. Biff, 16. Gonna win the thing. And that's all I had to say. Wendy?
I thought I would be polite and hand over my crown to Kenny Wallace this season, so I have no shot of winning the championship in the fantasy picks, but I'm going with my sentimental favorite because of Pat Tryson, the crew chief for Kurt Busch. I'm picking Kurt Busch to win. He has 2 wins this season. He's moved up 2 spots in the points. Just last week, he's 4th right now. I think he can move up a few more spots before the end of the day. Last race with crew chief Pat Tryson before he sends off to Michael Waltrip Racing. Pat's a good friend, and I'm picking them to win.
Well,
Jimmy?
All year long, you guys take this too serious. I don't. Well, today, I'm taking a friend of mine. He's closing a chapter in his book. He's done a great job this year as an owner. Michael Waltrip, buddy, I love you, man.
All right, Mikey.
You're doing a great job. Congratulations on the great career you've had, buddy. Look forward to talking to you tomorrow on our show this weekend.
Hey, Mikey could win the dang thing.
No,
we don't know.
Mikey can't win. But
yeah, why not?
Mikey's been really good for this sport, and he's going to be a future. His team is running strong. I look forward to his team being strong next year.
Yes,
Good
and
job,
fortunately, Michael Waltrip will be around with us for a long time to come as an owner and a part-time driver. Now, no one puts NASCAR into words like our good friend Ken Squire. He has an essay coming up for us you simply do not want to miss. We'll be back with a final word on NASCAR Race Day in a moment.
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. Visit homedepot.com. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Brought to you in part by Copart.com, an online auto auction where you control the price you want to pay. Go to Copart.com today. And by Orbitz. Visit Orbitz.com today and save.
For me, through racing, I've been able to win championships.
So how do we get champions? Well, the good news is we don't have to do a thing. Whether teams or individuals, they make themselves. All we have to do is decide who fits our personal description of champions, our heroes. Because you can't take away my heroes, my champions. And the nice thing about the stock car crowd, it provides such good choices. Can you think of any driver who races as hard, is so smart, improvises strategy worthy of a good jazz musician and at high speed too, and listens to advice? He's so easy, so likable. That's Jimmy Johnson. Forget about the Texas Tangle. That 38th place finish just proved he could take a hit. But think about all those races where he saves the car, saves himself for that final chase to the checkers. And by the way, I wish on TV they'd show him when he's back there, dancing, darting, weaving steadily through traffic, headed for pay dirt. We miss that, and then we see him out in front at the finish, just motoring away. But his racing in traffic, wow. If ever there was a NASCAR driver capable of not only 4 Cup titles in a row, but how about 5 or 6? Jimmy Johnson, the total package. But my champion? It's Mark Martin. You talk about true grit, determination, desire. Remember the time when he was so banged up they had to lift him out of the car after practice? And they had to lift him into the car to start the race the next day. And he went off and drove it like it was just another Sunday drive. 4 times he's been Sprint Cup runner-up. Time after time, he just keeps coming back. Not that he doesn't think about it, and think about it a lot, but he keeps finding within himself that ability to get off the floor and go again. Mark Martin, years ago, came to NASCAR and went dead broke, but he hung in there, created a mind and body to take the hits and keep on keeping on. At 50, he still carries the hopes and dreams of so many every time he cinches up a seatbelt. And Jeff Gordon, an earlier version of Jimmy Johnson, the kid he discovered and now fights for the title. Talk about the centered racer. 4 times he's claimed that Cup Series title, and along the way we've watched him grow not only as a driver, but as a human being into the kind of hero any sport would be honored to claim. Jeff Gordon can't ask much more from a champion. Then there's the champion of champions, the man who created the mold for an entire sport, Richard Petty, who has always represented all of us with the unshined shoes. Those of us who accept our roles as average, everyday folks. Some of us, like Richard, were lucky enough to have a job we liked, and as Richard said, did pretty well at it. 200 wins, 7 titles, 7 times conqueror of the great American race, and yet he still has the patience, takes the time to be the people's champion. For me, these champions seem to answer to a higher calling, men willing to risk it all, seeking a goal which for them is worth taking the chance. Men who are good examples for us all, and in whom we can take pride, take heart in being their fans, true champions. We need people like these to look up to. It's part of what makes us human.
And Ken Squire, you're a champion in your own right as well. Let's go back to the beach.
Yeah, Johnny, leave it to Ken Squire to put it all in perspective. It's taken me 25 years to figure out what I love about this sport, and quite simply, it's effort. The effort in the garage, the effort that our crew puts into bringing you this programming, and it makes me pretty proud to wear this speed shirt and to be involved in this sport, Larry Mack.
Well, you know, when I look at the battle, which is race number 36, we've had 14 different winners in 2009. I think because of all the circumstances, we're going to see a new face in Victory Lane in 2009, somebody that has been winless so far. I think as far as the war, the big picture of the championship, Jeff, no matter what, as we have stated all day, you're going to see history here today at Homestead.
You're going to definitely see history. And the thing about it, you know, Ken Squire made me start thinking, you know, that is the coolest thing about a good champion is when he gets knocked down, he gets up off the floor, he fights back, he wins. Fortunately for me, I've known those kind of champions in Petty, Yarborough. You think about Earnhardt, my buddy DW, and I see Jimmy Johnson doing it. It doesn't make any difference. These guys know how, when they get knocked down, to get back up and to win. To me, that's what truly makes a champion, champ.
Well, thank you, Jeff. You know, we go into this race today with the top 3 cars and the car owner, Rick Hendrick. They're the favorites to win everything today, but they've never won at Homestead. But I do believe that Mark Martin will stand here in Victory Circle and will taste the champagne. And one more thing real quickly. We are insiders. We have every right to complain about this sport when we want to. We've invested our lives, our money, and our emotions in this sport, so all we really want to be is heard every now and then.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to look back at 09 and I'm going to say it was a year of uncertainty when we started that really turned into a year of discovery, that this sport could persevere, that it could strive on, that it could keep building. And finally, we're going to go into 2010 and a year of hope. I'm telling you, man, there's hopefulness in this garage area and in these people in the grandstands that everything's going to get better and that everything on the racetrack is going to be a lot better next year.
Yeah, thank you, KP. And I just want to say personally, it's been an honor being on this show with a lot of great champions. And I agree with you guys. NASCAR history will be made today. That trophy you just saw, Jimmy Johnson going for his 4th trophy in a row. Unbelievable what that team is trying to accomplish. The fans are going to witness some history today, one way or the other. Wendy?
Hermie, thank you for a great season on race day. This is my office, and I love it. I'm going to miss it for 84 days. I got to thank our real deal producer, John Morris, our RF crew behind the scenes, pit producer Becky Blankenship in my ear, Scotty Keith, and our producer Ted Lakaitis. And thanks to Speed for letting us be ourselves, having fun, and showing it to you guys, to the fans at home. We're going to miss you. Love you guys.
I just got one thing to say to you fans. I love you all. Thank you for supporting NASCAR, baby. We're here to stay. See you next year.
I love racing. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Kenny Schrader. I get goosebumps when I think about racing. We're all racers, and all you fans throughout the United States, thanks so much for supporting our show, NASCAR Race Day. It's been a blast.
Once again, we want to say thanks to the fine folks here at the Homestead Miami Speedway, at NASCAR, and at all the tracks we visit throughout the course of the year. You guys make it fun, you make it easy, and we appreciate it. As we get ready to put a close on this chapter of NASCAR Race Day, we remind you to join us in Victory Lane tonight. Sit back and enjoy some of the sights, sounds, and scenes of another great NASCAR season.
This is NASCAR Race Day, and we are having a great time with all the fans. Matt Kenseth wins the biggest race of them all. Jimmy Johnson looking like a 3-time champion.
Been hanging around Michael Waltrip way too long, so I'm going to throw in a really blatant sponsor plug here.
Red Bull Toyota is in the chase. Kyle Busch on the outside looking in. They may call him the old man, but he hasn't forgotten how to win a race. What are these vehicles? My legs are real white. That's enough. That mama. Yeah. Jimmy Johnson wins on the 25th anniversary of Hendrick's first win. Snacks! Snacks! It's snowing! And even the stop throwing stuff at me. Be quiet, you, or I'll put you back in your freaking cage. Maybe Elliott Sadler is better than Hermie. Enjoyed the show last night for buying tickets. We had a great time.
Look at that good-looking man right there to my right. Ain't he pretty? If we were going to fire anybody off this show, who would it be? Any idea?
Spencer. Like crap through a goose.
You're going to see guys give a show their butts today. You were like a dog in heat.
Did you like that
Here we go again.
I've never heard it.
I think Jimmy would be a good fight. He's a scrapper.
He ain't getting no virgin. I've been knocked on my ass before.
Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cows. The youngest Sprint Cup winner ever. We've lost our mind.
Arr, who do I look like today? Welcome to the gun show.
He's an athlete, a marathon runner. I want to finish the race.
Joey Logano is wheel barreling end over end, side over side. Mark upside down. Ryan Newman up and over on his roof.
It's not racist. I wish NASCAR would do something.
8-4, that's a turn 1.
And the one thing that Jimmy Johnson did not want to happen, happened.
Jimmy Johnson winning for the 7th time and moves on to Homestead to clinch a 4th consecutive title.